Blog
Check,
Talk
check, check,
Radio.
check.
Here we go with the main event of the evening. Ladies and gentlemen in attendance, moms and dads joining us around the world. It's time for the bout you've all been waiting for. Finally, it is showtime.
Here, man, we dedicate our life to this sport. We do thousands of sit-ups in camp. We run hundreds of miles, for the ones that take it serious. And we just dedicate ourselves fully to our craft, man. We watch tape. We have attitude. We rooting, and we go into that fight and to lay it on the line.
Boxing fans, this is the Rope-A-Dope Radio Podcast. I am your host, Chris Carlson. We are live on a Tuesday at 7 o'clock Central. That is pretty damn early for a show anyway. It's not early in general, but for a show, that's pretty early. Anyway, we got a lot to discuss, no doubt about it. Lots to in fact, usually when it's this early, it's more like an afternoon show, isn't it? Anyway, I'm getting a couple of text messages, and I'm answering them when I should just be texting them back. No, I shouldn't be texting them because I'm doing a show. Anyway, let's get focused. So, obviously, this week is a big week for boxing, right? Canelo versus Jacobs. Canelo is the biggest name in the sport. I know, Manny Pacquiao has still got a big name. Of course, Anthony Joshua, especially in the UK. And, all around the world, has a big name. But the money man in the sport is Canelo. And Danny Jacobs is getting a shot at him to take the throne. Now, obviously, there's probably a rematch clause. In fact, there is. But he's getting a shot at it. No doubt about it. Now, we'll see if the Las Vegas judges can call a fair one. But you just don't know. Big weekend for DAZN. That's for sure. Huge weekend for DAZN. So we're definitely going to, talk through that fight, Canelo Jacobs. A variety of other fights that are on the schedule as well. Beterbiev and Hot Rod are fighting on ESPN. Kind of a strange time to put on something, right when Canelo's fighting, but maybe it'll be earlier. I actually haven't checked the guide yet. Maybe it's actually a little bit earlier than we think, and it won't go head-to-head. At least I'm hoping so. But either way, like I said, we are definitely going to break down Canelo Jacobs. There's a variety of news that we'll get to, but we're going to start like we normally start unless there's just some earth-shattering news. And no Andy Ruiz as a solid replacement for Anthony Joshua is not earth-shattering. Shadowing? Did I just say that? Earth-shattering. It's not bleeding, so it's not going to leak, okay? We're going to talk a whole lot of fights from last weekend. A very busy weekend. We did get a great scrap with the co-feature, that unification at 122. That was a hell of a fight on DAZN. Estrada and Rungvisai had the rematch. Estrada fairly dominant until near the end. Rungvisai made a little run. We'll definitely break that down. Daniel Dubois got tested minorly anyway. Donaire scored a highlight reel knockout, but once again, something happens to an opponent. This time it wasn't in the actual fight like it was last time when boy just, hurt his back. I believe it was back. It's kind of crazy. But Donaire is going to advance after, like I said, a highlight reel knockout. He's going to advance to the World Boxing Super Series final. Going to be interesting there. I don't know. Prograis and Relic fought. Prograis very, very dominant. In fact, that was one of the best fights I've seen him look defensively. Don't get me wrong, he still got hit, but not as much as he had in the last handful of fights. Um, Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, because we're not going to talk too much about it. The Eastern Junior Bartholomew, oh boy. I mean, I'd rather talk about FA and Victor Polstall than Eastern Junior and Bartholomew. Bartholomew, I understand he's going to be awkward and he's going to be looking to counter you. At 130, he was definitely more aggressive, but he's just that awkward guy. But Easter Jr. generally throws punches. Whether we say, you're being overly aggressive or not, the guy throws punches. Not in this one, though. I'm actually really, really glad that it ended in a draw because neither guy deserved to win that. So we're definitely going to start with recap. Got a whole lot to talk about there. Like I said, we will, dive into Canelo Jacobs and whatever else is on the docket. We'll check out some of the undercard fights too. There's some prospects, Virgil Ortiz, a couple other prospects that are getting tested on that card, or at least potentially, I should say, get tested. And not that kind of testing either, not the big baby testing. And just some other news. It looks like Pacquiao and Thurman is getting close. We'll get you a little bit of news there. That's going to be pay-per-view. We basically know that. Potentially some good news with Spence and Porter, though, as far as the pay-per-view realm. But if the reports hold up with Pacquiao and Thurman, I think they chose the right pay-per-view network. Let's put it that way. Devin Haney signed a deal. It's a done deal. We'll definitely talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about the pay-per-views, the Crawford Con pay-per-views, just a little bit, because, we're still waiting for that digital explosion from Bob Arum. I guess Fight TV must have just blown up. By the way, we'll talk a little bit about Golovkin as well, and no, not the deal, but he parted ways with his trainer. Kind of a surprise there. There was some talk on the Chris Mannix podcast that it's about DAZN and where they are subscriber wise. And Yvonne, who does who used to be an HBO employee, executive, I believe I think it was marketing executive. He had some things to say. They kind of did the state of the game, the business side of everything on that podcast, and I thought it was interesting. I thought there was a little misnomer there, but it is what it is. I'm not going to agree with everything, but he got misquoted. I've already seen people on YouTube. I've seen an article, and I also saw a couple of. In fact, one of them was in a big message in the boxing scene forum. Totally misquoted this guy. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And, of course, AJ has his replacement, yada, yada, yada. So we're going to dive deep into this here. If this is your first time listening to the Rope It Up Radio podcast, welcome. It streams live right here on blogtalkradio.com/Rope It Up Radio. So it streams live. It archives right here. It's basically the headquarters for Rope It Up Radio podcast. And that's, it started out boxing, and it's still boxing every single solitary week. But we do throw in some football and basketball throughout the year if you haven't noticed. The NBA playoff podcast is going on right now. So if you're interested in that, check that out. It's not just blogtalkradio.com/Rope It Up Radio. You can find us on iTunes. In fact, if you rate and review the show there, that's very helpful. Stitcher, Spreaker, you can find the Rope It Up Radio podcast. Player FM. We get a lot of listens throughout the years from there. Same with TuneIn. You can actually use Siri and Alexa through TuneIn and Spotify to check out the Rope-A-Dope Radio podcast. I'm also part of the Grueling Truth Sports Podcast Network, and that can be found everywhere: iTunes, Player FM, Stitcher, Spreaker, everywhere. Okay, including Spotify. You can stream it on Spotify and on iHeartRadio. So you can check that out there. Head on over to gruelingtruth.net. That's thegruelingtruth.net. You can listen to the show right there, actually. You can read articles from more like historic boxing articles or maybe current ones. I do a weekly prediction blog on thegruelingtruth.net. It's boxing, it's football, it's basketball, it's baseball, it's everything in between. Head on over to gruelingtruth.net, and while you're there, you can actually place a bet right with – it'll link you right to mybookie.ag. And one real quick note for those who are interested in cutting the cord or have and aren't satisfied, okay? Obviously, the NBA is going on right now, right? So you do need cable for that. Not until the finals do they do just ABC alone. There is an ABC game coming up this week, though. But yeah, DirecTV Now is something I think you should at least try. In fact, you could try it for 7 days for free. There's no annual contracts. You can stream it anywhere, your smart TV, your smartphone, your tablet. It has the cloud DVR, and the plans start as low as $50 a month. And if you go with Plus and Max, the Plus and Max package, HBO is thrown right into it. So it's basically the NBA playoffs theme, right? And also Game of Thrones. I mean, talk about the craziest, I think it was the longest episode they've had this last Sunday. You can get in on this. You can get in on this. And by the way, for boxing fans, through this package for DirecTV Now, Showtime is only $11. So that's pretty good. So we have that right there. DirecTV Now starts at $50 a month, right? Including HBO, like I mentioned. Now, here's the kicker to the deal. That's just a straight up, you could sign up for it, like I said, 7-day free trial. Now, the kicker is if you prepay for 4 months, they throw in an Apple TV 4K for free. It's a 5th generation. Maybe you have a 4th generation. You want to update. Maybe you have an old Roku. You want to update. It's $179 for an Apple TV 4K 5th generation. Think about it. If you prepay for 4 months, that's $200. You get 4 months of cable, which will bring you all the way to the NBA playoffs, of course, all the way to Game of Thrones, and you're still saving some money there. You're getting cable, and you're getting the Apple TV 4K. So either way, that Apple TV 4K, the 4-month prepaid, that's a limited time offer. So something to think about for you cord cutters, especially with summer coming around. A lot of times people are like, you know what, I don't want to pay this cable bill. I'm done. So anyway, we're going to get started here. I see actually CT is in the place to be. I'm going to head out to him in just a second to get his viewpoints. I'm going to start with what was the biggest fight of the weekend, the most anticipated anyway. I think that's fair to say. And that, of course, is Rungvisai and Estrada. Now, of course, this was on DAZN. And, man, I'll tell you what, for a while there, it was tough to give Rungvisai a round. I mean, if we're being honest, like, I'm trying to think, when was the first round that I gave Rungvisai? Is it deep in the fight? It kind of feels like it is. Yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing it until, what, the 9th round, 8th round, something like that. I literally had Estrada winning every round for most of it, you know. Now, it did tighten up, but, you know, Estrada complained about a knee injury, however you want to put it, in the first time around last year, and also a bit of a back injury. Now, the back injury I heard on the broadcast, I had heard about the knee prior, but I hadn't heard about the back injury, to be honest with you anyway. You know, you did see Rungvisai landing some shots, you know, but to the head and body, especially left hooks, but honestly, he just took a lot of shots early and often. And it was action right out the bat. And the biggest thing that everybody's talking about, especially right away, is Rungvisai not only starting the fight in orthodox, because we've seen him go back and forth, but you kind of know him as a southpaw, whatever. But he didn't even blend it. He just went that way for a while. Even in the second round, I noted still in the orthodox. It was kind of crazy, but you could see the flashy, clean punches along with the flashy movement and the pivoting. It was all Estrada. And the accuracy, some rounds are close, like the third round, for instance. Rungvisai got a good start, but it didn't really go much from there. And you either had, Estrada kind of going in and out or just pivoting. The jab was pumping. He had great defense. He was landing hard shots. And then he kind of got into jab, movement, and pot shot mode, I'd say once you got into the fifth, sixth, and seventh. Just in complete control. Then we got to the eighth. Then we got to the ninth, and especially the ninth. Circling, quick combination, left hook, jab. He had it all. And the end of the eighth round, probably the last minute, 50 seconds, Estrada was really starting to light his ass up. Now, and like I said, you could start to see Rungvisai building some momentum. I hate to even use the word momentum, but I gave him the ninth round. I thought he landed the better shots. I'd say the 10th round at that point was the best round he had of the fight. That might be the best round he had. He was landing his right hand. He switched to southpaw as well. There was a low blow in there, but it just wasn't enough to catch up. It really wasn't. Now, maybe one of those close rounds through the first, say, 6, 7, if you gave him one there, I did give him the back end of the fight. The scorecards read 116, 112, 115, 113, and 115, 113. I had it about 8-4, maybe 9-3. I didn't really see 5 rounds for Rungvisai, to be honest with you. Rungvisai landed 284. I'm sorry, Estrada landed 284 to Rungvisai's 230. And, I mean, these guys threw punches, dude. It was not, what was it, 940 or 924 or something like that, Rungvisai overall threw. Yeah, 971 and 1,019. So put them together, and you're at 2,000 punches basically thrown. So these guys were getting it in. 24% from Rungvisai, 28% from Estrada. He just got the lead and sat on it. He looked healthy. He looked ready to go. A lot of times when a guy's sharper, a little bit better defense, counter puncher, a lot of times those guys do well in the rematch, as we know. And I kind of think the combination of the rematch with the sharper fighter, and I do think that Estrada was banged up. And I think the proof is in the pudding because, I mean, the guy looked sharp from the jump. There was no warming up. There was nothing like that. It was just sheer domination in my mind. I mean, to me, and then, like I said, he did come around Rungvisai. He definitely came around. But that is the head scratcher, though. I will say that, obviously. That is clearly the head scratcher. Like, what the hell is going on with that? That really didn't make sense to me, the southpaw thing, or the orthodox thing, I should say. But, it is what it is. We've seen that. Remember Hagler? Hagler came out in a style where you're like, against Sugar Ray Leonard, like, what are you doing, dude? Especially when you won the first fight. But yeah, I really think sometimes you can hear people talk after the first fight or after the second fight or whenever, and it just doesn't ring true to you. You're just kind of like, I don't know, dude. Like, it sounds like a lot of excuses. You know what I mean? We've seen that, but other times, I usually break it down like this: there are either reasons or excuses, and it can be tough to get through that stuff and wonder and really be accurate in saying, you know, who's hurt, who's not. Like I said, it's a tough thing. However, um, when you see it like this, and it's not like Rungvisai said I was banged up too or something like that, and I didn't want to bail out of the fight, yada yada yada. I haven't heard that he was injured. You know what I mean? So to me, it was a dominant performance. Rungvisai came on. I think that I'm not saying it was so dominant that I don't want to see a rematch, because had Estrada won the first one and it was close, and then this happened 8-4 or whatever, then maybe I would say, hey, there's no need. But I think the fact that Rungvisai won the first one, if he wants a rematch and he's gonna go southpaw the whole fucking time, then he should give it to him. Of course, definitely. I'm sure it's in the contracts as well. And he's with DAZN. Rungvisai signed a deal with DAZN, so he was definitely the house fighter, and that's why I think he got it to 7-5. 2 cards for 7-5. I mean, I didn't see 5 rounds. Let's see what CT says. I'm gonna head on over to CT. What's going on, CT? How the hell are you, man?
I'm pretty good, Chris. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing really good. What'd you think of that main event on DAZN, Estrada Rungvisai? We'll also get into that undercard between Daniel Roman and what is it, Duhani? That dude, that was the fight of the night right there. What'd you think though of the rematch? And do you think it was just the fact that he shouldn't have been unorthodox? Otherwise, it would have been like a draw type fight, or was Estrada just better this go round, or maybe a combination?
Chris, unfortunately, I wasn't able to see the fight, but because I heard from you and others, it's just I think Estrada did his homework on the second fight round. I meant to ask you, do you know if both had a little bit of ring inactivity, or was it not to make any excuses, but I was just asking on that point. But
let me check on that just to make sure that I'm gonna check a lot to see if they. So no, I mean, let's see about Rungvisai. I don't. No, they should have been fine, because actually both of them, they fought last February, right? So February 2018, and both of them had stay busy fights.
Okay.
In 2 of them. Both of them had 2 of them, and it was actually perfect. Both of them had 2 other fights in, last year to close the year. And so, and both of them went 12 rounds in one of them, and then there was a knockout in one of them. So it was lined up perfectly that way. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I actually picked Estrada to beat him the first time, and it didn't really go that way. But I picked him to win the second time too. And like you said, in a rematch, is usually the boxer, the slicker fighter, does better in the second fight. He has more to. I feel like he has more tools in his box to work with. Not to say Rungvisai couldn't land that one shot, but I think, like you were saying, Estrada just well prepared this fight, and I'm glad he got the win.
Definitely, most definitely. So, what fights did you see from last week? And did you see did you see Prograis at all, or did you see any of the frickin' total snooze fest on between Easter Junior and I understand Bartholomew, like at 130 I feel like he was a tad bit more active or whatever you want to say, because he was a big dude, so he can not to say he was bullying people, but at times you did see him kind of go for it. He wasn't just all countering, but I can understand that part of it, him just waiting in the cut and trying to land that left to the body or left to the head, and that's what it is. But Easter Jr., so how do we complain about Easter Jr. for so long to say, dude, use your jab and fight smart. You don't have to go in there and just brawl all the time. And now he goes the complete opposite, CT, and just puts all his tools away and just locks him up. And once in a while he'd start out the first 20, 30 seconds of the round, he'd go off, and then he'd just stop. And I'm wondering, I actually heard an interview after with Espinoza, and I'm wondering, he wondered the same thing. He's like, I wonder if 135, he just can't make it anymore. Because this was at 135. Bartholomew came down to a more comfortable weight. We know at 130 and 35 he was a better fighter than he was at 40. I'm not taking any credit away from Relic because he beat him both those fights, but that kind of threw me off that it was that slow. And was he just so worried about that counter? He must have got clipped pretty good, because he did actually get clipped early in the fight. And I wonder if that just had an effect that he was afraid to let his hands go, or was he afraid to gas letting his hands go? Either way, he wouldn't have had to punch that many times per round, right? Because it was kind of like fencing, but without the fucking needle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know what was going on. It seems like both guys are jockeying for position. They're both rangy, whatever, but which is a horrible stylistic matchup. But you're right. I've seen a change in Easter Jr. For whatever reason. I honestly think, I could be wrong here, but I've seen a change in him ever since the Comey fight. He looked pretty good in the Comey fight, but that was a war. They were both banging each other out, and, he won the fight. And I've seen a little change in him since that fight, and then he lost to Garcia. So I don't know, like you said, it could be his body just needing to go up. That could be. That could be very possible as well. That's what I'm thinking too. Or just a bad stylistic matchup. But if he used to fight like anybody, I'll probably get some pointers from maybe, not that he's the best fighter in the division, but Postol kind of uses his range and his height very well. He keeps everything in line. And he had a good win that night, Postol, versus I forgot the guy's name that he fought, but it was a pretty good performance. But as far as Easter Jr., I'm not sure where he goes from here. I'll probably have him move up, just work on a little bit more things. I know he's got a new trainer, so I don't know. Maybe you need to get in the groove of things and just work on some different things. Like he's supposed to be using his range, but using it effectively, and it didn't work that fight. It's one of the boringest fights I've ever seen, too. I didn't see the Prograis fight, but I just heard things about it. I heard this. He just threw that guy away in the second round, and I'm really, really interested to see how he looks against Josh Taylor. That's going to be a really good fight.
As long as Josh Taylor gets by Barashik,
That's right.
You still got to win that fight.
That's right. That's a really good fight, too. Damn. Yeah, whoever wins that fight is going to...
Because remember, Postol actually put in some work against Taylor. That was a close fight.
Yeah, you're right. So we'll see. I think Prograis is the real deal. Unfortunately, he didn't get the shot versus Ramirez like he was promised, and but he didn't let him. It didn't let him ruin his confidence or his eagerness to want to fight, and he's still proven going through this tournament. He kind of reminds me of a better, well-polished prime James Kirkland. Just his stance, the way he comes in with his relentlessness, and the way he just he's like a demon in there. But he's shown before that he can box, but he uses all his tools. He's very, I would say, unorthodox, but he uses all his movement and the way he punches in his unorthodox ways effectively. And he has willpower in both hands.
Yeah, and he brought out a little bit more of the defense and upper body movement this time, because I noticed the last few fights he has been getting hit more than I saw in his whole career. And so I was wondering, it just doesn't seem like he gives two shits about these guys. so that's why he was doing it. And I was just like, yeah, whatever. And we've seen that with people, it happens. But to me, although he got hit, I mean, Relic's not a chump, you know what I mean? He's in there. He's a good, crafty fighter. Probably I think, an underrated fighter, actually. And, he dismantled him, man. He looked good. That was the best I had seen Prograis in a while. And it's funny, people make fun of Prograis' belt, the WBC diamond and all that, but it's like, well, dude, I mean, come on, dude. That's not his fault. Yeah, like the WBC lined the shit up, and then a bigger money opportunity came by, and he took it because there was no guarantee with that fight. They were already trying to put him on an undercard. They gave him a card on ESPN, straight up. Him and Lou DiBella got the card the next week after Ramirez fought because, they wanted to build the fight, but I don't really think him just fighting there once would have just made it some monster fight or something like that. So right now 140 needs to be figured out, and when this is done, it's still not going to be all figured out. A lot of people are like, oh, whoever wins this is going to be the guy. Well, that could be. He could be the guy. I could, make an argument for it. Both of us could, but he's still got to fight. And not only that, but you never know. Mikey may end up at 140. You never know. So it's going to be interesting, no doubt about that. So what are you got any thoughts? I mean, obviously Canelo and Jacobs is there, but is there anything that you want to talk about beyond breaking down that fight at all, or you want to just dive right into it?
I'll just, as far as breaking down the fight between Jacobs and Canelo?
Right.
Oh, yeah. I'm really interested in this fight. I think it's going to be very, very close. They're both counter punchers. They're both quick reaction type fighters where their timing and their speed are both in one sequence. So I think those are the type of fights where people get hurt in exchanges. I think Canelo's going to try to be the counter puncher, and Jacobs is going to try to use his size on him. But here's where I think it's a little interesting in style matchups, which I think Jacobs talked about as well, where with Triple G, Canelo just fought a fighter who is very much the same pattern where he's coming forward. To me, I think Triple G is a pretty good jabber, but for the most part, he's a mid-range hooker. So I think Canelo was able to read his rhythm a little bit. But with Jacobs, he has these snappy-type movements like he's shown where he throws hooks, crosses, uppercuts like he did against, he throws like a fast combo 1-2 against Peter Quillen. And he throws little speedy-type shots like that where he changes his speed a lot in fights. Well, I think it's going to be interesting to see how he does against Canelo. I think Canelo's going to have to try to go to Jacobs' body early and get some of Jacobs' respect, because the way I hear it from Jacobs, I think he feels like he has the power and the strength to just hurt Canelo. I think Canelo's going to be on his A game, and I think Jacobs will be too. If I was going to pick a winner, I don't know, man. It's kind of hard. I think Canelo has a better chin. The quick hands, I probably might go to Jacobs. I think who's a better boxer? I'll probably say Canelo's a better boxer. Who hits harder? I'm not sure. That's going to be the question there. I think, if Canelo lands flush, it'll be interesting to see how Jacobs takes his shot. So I'm going to lean towards Canelo. But I think it's going to be very close and very, very competitive with some interesting moments in the fight. All through the fight, I think it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be very dominant at all. But I'll pick Canelo by decision.
Well, I mean, I think that's a smart bet as far as specified decision. I mean, like,
I know, right?
I think by decision, it just kind of, that should be his like nickname, Canelo by decision. Like he's already they've already turned one of the scorecards in, and then the other two judges, they have a couple of them filled in. They got the last round, the first round, maybe like the sixth round. So he's got a little lead already, dude.
Yeah. So, who are the judges? I heard it was a rumor. I hope it's not true. Is Bird going to be there?
Nah. See, Bird people kind of took that. There was a report, and I think it was just to. It was a factual report, but I think that it was just clickbait because if you're in if you're in Nevada, in Las Vegas, obviously for this, but if you're in Nevada and you're a judge in Nevada, then technically you are in the pool, the pool of judges. So she's just in the pool, so it's just there. You know what I mean? Like, it's just there. She's just in there. Doesn't mean, like, that's the pool to pick from. But they actually, the judges they have the exact same judges as the Canelo Golovkin Part 2.
Oh, man. Well,
however,
to me, that fight,
if you think about it, first of all, one guy, is it Wiseman? He actually had the first one, 115, 113 for Golovkin.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the judges that they have on there had Golovkin winning the first time. And then, he had Canelo winning this time, but there was a judge that saw that a draw, which is a really good scorecard. And I think the other ones were 115, 113, 115, 113. And I think the rematch, I think it's fair to go 7-5 either man or a draw, to be honest with you. I don't think it was a clear win for Golovkin like a lot of people say. I didn't see that. First one, sure, that's Golovkin. But the second one, I didn't see that. I actually had Canelo winning the second one.
Yeah, me too. I had it the same way. Triple G winning the first fight and Canelo winning the second one. I'm really much looking forward to this fight. I'm very excited for it. Only because I think Jacobs brings a lot of things, brings a lot of things that Golovkin didn't bring. As far as offensively. I like the way Jacobs, like I said, he like changing speeds and fights, and he throws all types of punches, and his punches are very. He kind of whips his shots. You know what I mean? He has these awkward type punches where he caught the Polish guy with, he knocked him down with, and he caught Mora with. He's got these type of punches that are just you don't really see. They come with quick explosions. So I'll be looking forward to see how Canelo does with that with his good head movement, and it's gonna be interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
I got a question for you. Have you, from maybe some casual people that watch boxing that have they been talking about this fight? Have you gotten any text messages or has
No, not really.
Doesn't feel like it's the same pay-per-view buzz right now. It is only Tuesday.
Yeah, but it doesn't have that same excitement. I agree. It's not that, some people, if you didn't know, like, especially with social media, you would never think that, they're fighting this weekend. I don't feel that superstar effect to the fight. I don't know if it has to do with anything with, like, the zone or whatever the case is. Right. That might be the case. I don't know. But, it doesn't have that feel to it like it normally does. But I think it's a very credible fight. I think a lot of boxing fans turn into it because it's interesting and it's a unification fight, so that's always good for boxing.
Exactly. As far as on the schedule, this is the best fight on the schedule. I don't think that's really an argument. I guess you could say Rung Beside Estrada Part 2. Maybe that could have been but I think it's just top dudes in the division, and the way the way Jacobs fought against Golovkin makes you think, all right, dude, I got a question for you. I don't know how much time you got. You can go whenever whenever you have to. But the body work. Are we gonna? Because Jacobs put some heavy body shots on Golovkin to the point where it either froze him or it backed him up minorly. And he kept smiling at him like, "Yeah, you're a good boy. That fucking hurt," type shit. And do you think? Remember, it's like, dude, Golovkin, throw something to the goddamn body. What are you doing? But then again, especially in the first fight when he had him on the fucking ropes, it's like, dude, go to the body. But he was getting countered a lot too. So is that why Golovkin didn't do it? Because he was a little worried, a little tentative? And is Jacobs, I'm not saying, shoe shine to the body and leave your head wide open the whole fight, but that's something you have to do to Canelo. You have to work the body a little bit, slow his ass down. I mean, I think that's going to be key for Jacobs.
Yeah, I agree. I believe like they both need to go to the body, and I think to answer your question too, I think Triple G was a little bit hesitant to go because of Canelo's quickness and countering. He definitely seen the speed and the timing of Canelo, and he didn't want to feel those punches that often. But you're right. I think Jacobs needs to go to the body and early. I think they both need to attack the body early. I like this fight because they both punch in quick combinations. You know what I mean? They're both very good
at
the combinations. So look for flashy shots and a lot of. I think there'll probably be a lot of feeling out, like with two fighters who have pretty good quickness. Usually there's a feeling out process, and then they work their way into the fight. I think definitely Jacobs will try to impose his strength and his size on Canelo. But there'll be a little, we'll see if he gets a little wary once he finds a counter shot from Canelo or something like that. We'll see. I think they both, when they have to get down to it, they're both dogs in the ring. They don't really back down from nothing. Even when Jacobs got hurt, he still came back to try to fight, So we'll see how it plays out. A lot of people like to say, point out the Pirog fight, where it kind of reminds them of Canelo's movement a little bit, where he's, dodging, shifting, and kind of like Pirog does, and he counters. But I think Jacobs has gotten better since then. But we'll see, what happens.
I think Pirog is a little bit better at coming forward and moving his head and all that, and cutting off the ring too. I watched that fight last night again. Golly, dude. Like, that dude was good, man. That guy was fucking good. And if it wasn't for those back issues, I mean, him and Golovkin were scheduled to fight, and that whoever won that fight would have turned into Golovkin. You know what I mean? Like he could have beat Golovkin maybe, and then just went on to be Golovkin, but a guy that can defend himself going forward. Yeah. I looked at that fight again last night. I was like, holy shit, I forgot how good this guy is.
I didn't even know who he was even in that fight. And, I picked Jacobs to beat him. And then when I saw him fighting, I was like, oh, shit. He's dodging, like you said, coming forward, making Jacobs miss, like, on a dime, like, in a split second, and getting in proper position to land his counter shot. That's very rare in boxing. You see it from fighters who counter-reactive, like Mayweather, who moved backwards doing that, but he was actually coming forward with that type of movement. That's crazy.
Well, because I remember me and a couple of buddies were watching that, and I remember Danny came into Annie up, MOB, and it was like, oh, shit, Danny's coming. He was 21-0, 18 KOs. It's like, but remember he lost his grandma, who was basically somebody that he felt, that kind of raised him and shit like that, and he was kind of in his head, and the same, and I look back at that knockout, and when people say that Tyson Fury wasn't lucky that a ref didn't stop it, I go to that one. Because remember,
that's
true. It was the same thing because he was out. Yeah. He looked out, but his eyes were open, but he looked out. He was just sitting on the mat, but he was getting his shit together just like Fury. But in that moment, because he wasn't moving, he stopped it. And what happened? Jacobs jumped right up like, dude, I'm good. I was just getting my, So it's like that was. I mean, it played out. Maybe they didn't hit exactly the same way, but they both kind of had that deadness to their body when they drop. You can see their body drop, and then when they're laying just flat out. You know what I mean? It really was reminiscent of that knockout.
Yeah, it was almost like the same exact type of where the body's just dead weight. And luckily for Tyson. Luckily for Tyson Fury, he had a referee that let him, go on. Speaking of heavyweights, if I could talk about, I think it's the done deal with the Joshua and the Ruiz. I really think that's a pretty good. I really think that's a more competitive fight than what I think people think. I think, Ruiz has a pretty good. Yeah, I think Ruiz has a pretty good shot, mainly because of his work rate, his hand speed, and I think with he'll try to make Joshua work more than he wants to. He's got these big arms. Joshua being the bigger, muscle-bound fighter, those type of muscular type, especially a heavyweight like that, their arms are going to get tired with that, full of blood. And we've seen Joshua in fights where he'll take a round off or whatever to try to get his his energy back. And I think Ruiz is going to be on him all throughout the fight. For a guy with his type of physique, he definitely has pretty good stamina. And if Joshua's not careful, this guy is going to, he could shock him. We'll see how the judges. I think Joshua would have to place his shots very precise. Him being a bigger puncher, I think he's going to have to make his shots count to get Ruiz's respect early, because Ruiz is one of those fighters. He's like a machine. He keeps coming forward. And I also thought that he beat Parker in that fight, but
I was just about to say that. Like, hey, dude, I think he beat him. Like, I for real think he beat him. And that's about,
me too.
Don't quote me, but that's a heavier Ruiz. Like, he's dropped some weight. And you saw his last fight, he looked pretty damn good in that, And now he's got another month to lose more weight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and he already said he was back in the gym already anyway, because he didn't have a hard-ass fight. So he was already back in the gym. He was ready to go. And it was funny because he went on that I don't know if you've ever seen that Inside PBC show on FS1 and Fox, but he was on there and he was gung-ho. He's like, dude, I want the fight, man. This is the fight I want. I'm ready to do it, dude. Let's go,
I'm glad he's getting a shot. I would have loved to see him fight Adam Kornowski. I think that would have been a crazy fight. Those two, the volume punching they do and stuff like that. But I'm glad he's getting a shot at Joshua. We'll see what he can make out of it, He's one of those fighters that people like to sleep on. But like I said, I think Joshua's going to have a hard fight on his hand. I think it's actually a better fight than Miller. I like the Ruiz fight better than the Miller fight.
I do too, especially now that we know that he was like a cyborg walking around with about 18 different freaking PEDs in his system. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell? Have you ever heard that? 3 different tests in like a matter of 4 days came out.
Yeah, it's horrible. That's real bad.
Like, they didn't even get the B sample back yet, and the first was CT and 2 other pops with different shit in them. That's probably what he's probably doing, that 48 hours, 72 hours shit where you just get it in your system and out. And obviously he didn't get it out. That was messed up, dude. I hated how he first of all, he's like, I didn't do it. This is bullshit. I'll be, vindicated. And then the second and third one came out, he's like, all right, I'm going to come clean. It's like, no, you're not coming clean because you had a chance to come clean. And you didn't. Your original thing was, I didn't do it. And then all of a sudden when the other 2 tests come, then he's like, hey, I'm sorry. I apologize. I made a mistake. It's like, dude, to me, that's not really a mistake. You were trying to do it.
Yeah. This heavyweight division, this era is something else. A very unfortunate era as far as like these heavyweights using all these PEDs, Brown and Miller and Povetkin, and Ortiz one time, even though, the situation with that, but still, like, it's uncalled for. It's, Joshua and Wilder don't deserve shit like this. They're heavyweights who run it, clean, and they do everything right, and, fights being canceled because of, shit like this happening. It's unfortunate for the heavyweight division, but I'm glad that they do have fights that could be made, and, I think it's going to be a good fight right here, and I really think Wilder's going to beat the shit out of Brazil. Brazil is going to get hurt so bad that I'll be looking forward to that fight too. But because there's so much emotion in Wilder right now because of the things that were done in the past, I think Brazil's going to get hurt.
Yeah, I think I saw something on Twitter right now. I don't know if it's the box rec or what, but this top 10 rankings. And I don't know if they're legit or not, but 5 out of the top 10 had already been popped on the PEDs. 5 out of the top fucking 10. That's fucked up.
That's horrible. That's real bad. There's no excuses for that. these fighters got to be knowing what they're putting in their system. You know, they're going to come up with things where, well, I didn't know. Yeah, right. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if you don't know, you need to, do some research on what you're putting in your body. You're an athlete, and on top of that, you're a boxer, so you need to be more aware about what you're doing. So hopefully they get everything situated, but it'll just put a damper on like the way the fans look at these fighters. It'll definitely change their careers because us fans, we look forward to seeing these fights and things like this happen. We're just like, man, fuck.
Yep. Yeah, I agree, though. I think that the fact that Ruiz is already in shape and he's got a month to prepare, and he was already back in, he just fought 2 weeks ago. So I think he's going to be ready to go, dude. I think it is a better fight. I agree with you. And that's rare, that's rare when it turns out to be a better fight.
A better fight, exactly. The Southern happens to be a better matchup and a better fight for the fans than the original. But I like Joshua too. I'm not just going to go all on Ruiz. I think Joshua's a very good fighter. And to be honest with you, I think he's one of the best combination punchers I've seen since Riddick Bowe. I really like the way Joshua puts his punches together on the inside, and I like the way he mixes up his combinations with the speed and power. To be a guy like his size, he's got good abilities in the ring.
Yeah, he's straight puncher too for that size. Pretty accurate.
You're right.
Especially when he's behind his jab, and that's the thing. Ruiz doesn't move except to you, So I think that sets up better for Joshua. If Joshua has to keep moving and try to set up camp to land a punch, that's where you start to see his offense not look as great. But if you're right there for him, that's going to be tough too. I think it's just going to be explosive in general.
Yeah. I agree. I wanted to ask you, have you seen a little bit of a change in Joshua since the Klitschko fight? Like, a little bit of changes? Yeah, me too.
He's a little calmer, a little more hesitant. And if you look at it, remember that Dillian White fight, I think 2 fights before that fight where he got hurt pretty well in that fight. Remember, he got hurt pretty bad in that fight. And it's like, I think he just like, I'm not going to take the risk I did, and I'm just going to, just come forward, or not come forward, but, stay behind my jab and just break a guy down slowly but surely. But even a guy, you saw it a little bit with Parker, but especially Carlos Taka, who was moving in landing. I mean, that's not the fight as we just discussed with Ruiz, but I have. I've seen a little bit more. And, speaking of Vlad, that fight, remember Vlad used to be a little bit more gung-ho until he was put on the mat a bunch of times. And then he said, hold on, I'm going to just jab for 8 rounds. And until Emmanuel Stewart screams in my ear, then I'll throw my right hand and end the night.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the same thing happened to Lennox Lewis as well. When he was younger, he used to be the more energetic type, kind of just went all out on people. And then he got Emmanuel Stewart and set up with his jab and stuff like that. But some fighters they get thrown into a war and they get certain, they dealt with adversity, and sometimes even with the win, they're never the same. But we'll see what Joshua happens, when he fights Ruiz. I'm picking Joshua, but I think it's going to be very competitive.
Yeah, so do I. You got anything else, sir?
I'm trying to think of another fight else. Actually, I think there was an undercard fight on the Jacobs and can you tell me who was on the undercard? I think there was a fight on there I thought that was pretty interesting.
Virgil Ortiz, the prospect, is facing a faded Mauricio Herrera. Let me see what else we got here. I'll go to it real quick. I'm drawing a blank. Michael Perez and Pablo Cesar Cano, that they're fighting. Lamont Roach Jr. is taking on Quendo. Yeah, there was. I believe there was a fight on there, but Lemieux. I think Lemieux was going to be on there against this dude John Ryder from the UK. I believe he's from the UK, but he bailed.
Okay.
He got injured. He got injured.
Maybe I'm thinking about a different undercard then. No, I don't know. I got to look back on there. But, yeah, I'm going to see if I can try to see if someone is going to be holding the fight or have it his own channel so I can watch it over there.
Yeah, definitely. And I know they're doing they're doing it in the theater. So that's $20.
Oh, really?
Yep, it's the movie theater. And all you got to do is just, Google Canelo Jacobs movie theater, and it'll send you to the link. And all you do is put in your area code, and it'll show you, within a radius from your house where the local theaters are. So that's, I think that's $22. You get to see the whole card. And, just like a movie, you get to reserve your spot. And I know they were trying to get to some of these bars and get them to where they even pay for the install, to get so it can have DAZN, So I heard that they're trying to work a deal where DAZN would, how sometimes you get a new TV and Netflix is just there, it's just already loaded, Amazon just already there, that type of shit. That's what I heard DAZN's trying to get through too, but in the bars anyway. So yeah, I'm sure. I know that they've been sending stuff to the bars. So I'm sure you can find a bar, or maybe like you said, maybe there is a buddy or the theater or something like that. Better Biev in Hot Rod, the dude who a lot of people thought beat Marcus Brown or was a good ass fight a couple years back. They're fighting on ESPN that night too. On Saturday night.
That's gonna be a good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Better Biev will probably win, but I think Hot Rod will give him a good fight. And one other thing, are they going to sign up Brown versus Goldstick or?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about that one right now. I'm not sure when that if that's going to happen or not. But I'm pretty sure that was supposed to happen next. Almost positive.
Yeah, I just looked on Marcus Brown Instagram page. I didn't see anything about it yet, but yeah, I think you're right. So I remember them posting something about that, or him calling Ghostic out next. But yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get whoever's watching that fight tonight. Saturday.
All right, man. Well, thanks for calling in, man. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks a lot. Yeah, I'll be on next week.
All right, later.
All right, see you.
All right, that was CT, longtime caller / co-host, because, my callers are my co-hosts. That's the way I like to put it. And, we were talking about the buzz for this fight, and maybe it's just, it's only Tuesday. So maybe in a couple of days it'll get going. Maybe Thursday and Friday they'll start to hit up those commercials more. Now, I did see, was that Sunday night or Saturday night? On TNT, I did see a commercial for the fight on an NBA game, on a playoff game. But I'll say this, and I think I saw one last week, but I gotta say, and I sometimes I'll just fast forward when I'm watching basketball on DVR. Other times, if I'm listening to music or if I have somebody over or people over watching the fights, we're kind of talking shit, or I shouldn't say watching the fights, but sometimes we'll watch basketball, then watch the fights on DVR, that type of thing. And so I've been trying to keep the commercial on, instead of fast forwarding it a little bit more just to see if they come up, and I don't know, I'm just not seeing the commercials as much. And when I say as much, I mean literally the Canelo Rocky for about 2 or 3 weeks out, I saw those a lot of places. Not even that, but even online, like when you go to, the ad on a YouTube page, and if it has anything to do with boxing, boom, it would be that. And so, like I said, I'm going to watch 2 games tonight, NBA, so maybe there'll be, a handful during that. I don't know. But it just seems like, to me, there was more commercials for the Rocky fight. And maybe they're saving that budget for, the Golovkin trilogy. But the Canelo Golovkin, I don't know. I'm not sure what the hell is going on with that. But I kind of felt, I don't know. You know what I mean? To me, it just, I'm not saying there's no buzz because I'm fucking pumped about it. But I haven't, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. But usually by now I've at least had somebody texting me saying, hey, man, you going to watch a fight this Saturday? Where are you going to watch a fight? That type of shit. And I haven't had one person. So, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they're hitting up the theaters, so they got an ad in the theaters. So that's cool, the trailer, basically. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, the number to dial is 646-381-4990. That's 646-381-4990. Maybe you're stuck in traffic on the West Coast. Bring the show with you. Maybe you're going to go to the club, get a workout, go for a run. Bring the show with you. 646-381-4990. You're stuck in traffic. You're going to go grocery shopping. Got to pick up the kids at band practice. Take the show with you. You can listen to the archive. Because in the browser, as we know, in the browser, you can only listen to, the live stream. The archive time, that's what we call it, the archive. You get an extra hour there, which archives together, obviously, when the whole podcast is archived. But just to, sorry, I had to take a little pause and clear my throat. Let's jump into the rest of that DAZN card. Might as well just go DAZN the whole way, and then we'll touch upon the other fights. We aren't going to spend much time on Easter Jr. and Bartholomew. Okay, I just did. It's over. So Jesse Vargas and Humberto Soto, pretty one-sided, man. It really was. I mean, it was fun. Soto landed some jabs and left hooks and, a few counters, some nice little quick combinations. They did exchange plenty. Even in the fourth round, Soto landed hard right hand and actually a really flush, I think it was a left, I can't remember, but late in that fifth round. But overall, it was all Vargas, really. He was working the body from the start. He just seemed to land the better shot. He did get a cut in a bad spot, too. Like his left eye, it looked like to be in a bad spot. It was funny because Sergio Mora's like, oh, he'll be good. It's like, well, hold on, dude. We don't know if he's going to be good. It's in a bad spot, but, as it turned out, he's okay. I remember in the third round, I wrote something down about a minute in, 70 seconds in. There was a really, really good exchanges. But, yeah, the jab to the stomach in the head, I thought that was key. You don't see enough fighters doing that. He was just busier, getting the better of most exchanges. And then probably a minute into the sixth round, I think it was a right hand that dropped Soto. Soto got up, more right hands. Soto's on the ropes, and it was over. TKO, sixth round, 131-85 as far as total punch rate through 6 rounds. 33%, that's pretty damn good through 400 through 6. So these guys were going at it, no doubt about it. But I just think Vargas his body's better for this weight. Soto's old, but the guy can counter. The guy's a live fighter. But it just was too high of a weight class, and it does seem like they're trying to get Jesse Vargas a fight. Probably Munguia at 154. Of course, not totally sure about that. Not totally sure about that because, I'm not sure if that, because is Munguia going to stay? Is he going to just stay for a fight or two and then go to 60? I don't know. Let's get into Danny Roman and TJ Donahue, I think it is. Donahue. This was a damn good fight, dude. I gave Donahue. Did I just call him Donahue? Like the the talk show host during the day in the 80s, Donahue. I gave him the first round. It was a slow round. It actually took a little while for this fight to jump all the way off, but once it did, it was on. I actually thought a couple of late lands stole the round. He came out with the jab and the left hand. He landed uppercuts and hooks with that left hand. But then there was a left hook by Daniel Roman with about 45 seconds remaining, and that dropped him. So it was a 10-8 round. And then I thought Roman went on a little bit of a run. I had him win in the third, had him win in the fourth. I just thought in the third it was better shots. Fourth, to me, the left hooks and the right hands just landed flush as hell. That's not to say that Donahue wasn't landed. In the last part he actually landed a really nice left hand, but there was a late right hand by Daniel Roman too. But then I thought Donahue. I'm just going to call him Donahue. No, Donahue, in a close round, I thought he landed the cleaner shots in the fifth round. Sixth round, the harder shots went to Roman. Oh, okay. So the seventh round, the left hooks. To me, there was almost a knockdown, but it was a push. But Donahue was, he was flurrying at that point. And I gave him the seventh and the eighth. He actually kind of started to use his defense a little bit better. He was kind of going in and out, pot shotting with the left hand. And I thought, man, he's really starting to take over this fight. But it wasn't to be. The 10th round I gave to Danny Roman. It was just a steady work through the rounds. He also landed, I think, with about a minute left, a great uppercut that buckled the legs, almost a knockdown. In a late body shot that definitely affected him by Roman. It definitely affected Donahue. Or Donahue. God, I can't say the guy's name. And then a 10-8 round for sure. Or I guess you could say it was a 10-8 round. I think it was the 11th. He hurt him to the body midway. Or there was a knockdown. Yeah, because he took a knee. Tried to because those damn body shots were just tearing his ass up. There was a late right hand as well. Close round in the 12th. So I had it 7-5 or 8-4. Somewhere in that realm. I had the champ winning. Or, well, it was a unification. So, but I had Danny Roman winning. The judges saw it 113-113, and that would have been 115-113 for Donahue. But those, the two knockdowns, and then the other two were 116-112, which is 8-4, which I could see 8-4 or 7-5. Roman had the punch stats a little bit of advantage there. He threw more punches too, 742 compared to 503, but a $195, 195 to 150. So he did enough to win that fight. Like I said, it took a little time to warm up, but man, once it did, that was a good little fight, man. That was a good fight. I really enjoyed that fight. Like I said, I believe it was the fight of the weekend. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. I think that was the fight of the weekend, and then I'd rather see a rematch of that. But I'm not trying to say Rungvisai shouldn't get a rematch because he should. He definitely should. He won the first fight, so if they do a rematch, you're not going to hear me complain. But that co-feature was off the chain. That was the best fight of the weekend, and it was a great weekend, as we know, for DAZN in heading into their creme de la creme fight with Canelo and Jacobs this weekend. It's a big run. It's a big run for them. As far as the World Boxing Super Series, I talked about Nonito Donaire. He took on that Stephen Young. Young was lighting his ass up. Okay, he wasn't lighting his ass up, but Donaire was getting hit a lot, a fair amount. He was lighting his ass up. I never saw him really hurt or nothing like that, but Donaire was getting hit a lot. But he ended up landing his patent left hand, knocked him cold out, and now he's moving on to the finals. And it's either Rodriguez or Inoue. So be interesting to see. I'm really excited for that one, too. The semifinal matchup, sure, we didn't get Tete. We didn't get that one with Donaire. But other than that, I like these semifinals. And I think people are sleeping because it's not till like mid-June. But don't you dare sleep. I repeat, don't you dare sleep on the cruiserweight doubleheader, dude. Don't make that mistake, dude. Dorticos and Tabiti, that's got explosion written all over it. And same with what is it, Briedis against Glowacki. That's a good ass fight, maybe. So don't sleep on that doubleheader. But that'll actually finish off the semis coming up here in June. And then I'm assuming sometime in the fall, September, October, November-ish, that's when they'll have the finals. So it's nice that it's finally here because we've been waiting for this World Boxing Super Series because we thought it'd be a couple months ago and they'd stay on, course. But, I'm not going to over-complain because we got it. It did seem like, well, they're having financial issues. It did seem kind of like, oh, shit, they're not going to get it. But it's nice. It's nice. Really nice. We talked about that Josh Taylor and Baranchik fight, Ivan Baranchik. That should be a good fight. That'll be interesting. On to the Prograis and Relic fight in the main event. Like I said, Prograis to me, well, first of all, Relic didn't win a round. He came out with his jab and pivot, and he also was digging to the body. And he hit him to the body to the point where, in Prograis I'm speaking of, where Relic kind of turned sideways. And then he threw a kind of quick little combination, knocked him down. I thought, Jesus Christ, this thing is going to be over before it started. And Prograis just left digging to the body, both hands actually to the body, had his jab pumping. I just like what he was doing. He was landing heavy shots. He was bloody enough. He may have busted up the nose early on Relic. Relic showed plenty of heart, though. The third and fourth kind of was slower pace, mostly jabs, some pot shots, some give and take, a couple of decent give and takes, but not much. It actually slowed down a little bit in the third, fourth. The fifth, though, a hard, stiff jab, pause. That's definitely something that Prograis had. The straight left, snapping. The straight left and the overhand left were snapping Relic's neck, back. And then the corner, basically in the sixth round, the corner said, you got one more round, dude. One more round, and that was it. It was a TKO in that round. So that was a wrap. And I have to say this, like I mentioned earlier, Regis Prograis probably looked I think it's Prograis. It's not Prograis. It's Prograis. He looked the best I've seen in a while. The last couple of fights, I just feel like he's let down his defense, and he's just going for that highlight reel knockout. And I saw a lot better defense. He's not a Pernell Whitaker or Floyd Mayweather, and he doesn't always hold his hands up properly. And it may catch up to him. Don't get me wrong. The defensive issues could catch up to him, but I saw against a crafty fighter in Relic, I saw a more emphasis on his jab and defense. And the proof was in the pudding. I mean, he tore this dude up, and Relic's not a chump. So it'll be really interesting to see who comes through that Josh Taylor or Baranchik fight. That's in 2 weeks. And him and Prograis, or whoever that is, and Prograis will meet a little bit later. So I'm definitely looking forward to that matchup in the finals for World Boxing Super Series. And I thought Prograis looked pretty damn good. I really did. I felt like I was kind of happy that he took this, not that he took the fight serious, but the actual action in the fight. He was worried about his defense more than we've seen of late. It's there. You just got to keep flashing. He can counter too, but it just seems like he's trying to put on a show. It is what it is. Daniel Dubois, and actually I see a handful of people came in the chat or, online. 646-381-4990 is the number to call. Let me see. Oh, I see Carcino. I'm going to go to you in a second here, Carcino. Daniel Dubois and Richard Larte. Dubois came out in attack mode and was landing some heavy shots early in this fight. There was a couple of times where Larte was able to land off the ropes. He landed pretty well in spots. There was a lot of action in this fight. Dubois, I thought, was jabbing pretty well. He started using his uppercut more, too. There was a lot of exchanges. But then, like, several jabs, kind of established his jab in the fourth round. And then it was followed by rights. And I think midway through, he freaking landed a nice right hand. Then it was a huge right hand, which ended up in a TKO. We should say Larte did get to his feet, but they were like, you know what? You're done. So Dubois got tested. A lot of people thought, God, this dude looks like shit. I didn't see it all that bad because he was being aggressive too. So you gotta, if a guy's gonna be aggressive, that's gonna open him up a little bit more. So good little test for him, and we'll see how he performs moving on. But it was only 4 rounds, not even 4 rounds, TKO. But overall, I thought he did his job. It was exciting, but yeah, I mean, I think he probably should be a little bit more under control, but it is what it is. F.A. Ajabwe, he didn't, he took care of business real quick. The dude is starting to really, I'd say, sharpen up his punches a little bit, his jab. The punches are coming off a little bit more accurate, a little bit more straight. So I thought he looked pretty good. Postal looked pretty good against Memu, something like that. I mean, Memu did better in the last part of the fight, but to me, I had it 8-2 for Postal, max 7-3, max. There was a judge that had it. 2 of them had it 97-93. The other one had it 99-91 for Postal. 149-73 and overall for punch stats, and he threw a lot more than him. And 68-9 for jabs. So Postal, lost that very competitive fight to Taylor, Josh Taylor, and it was a nice little bounce back for him. I thought he looked good. And like I said, FA just took care of business. Really not much to that fight. The jab, the right hand. Another right hand, that type of thing. You did see Volish, I think it's Volish. He landed, some stuff in spots, but not much, man. It was left hooks, it was right hands, and it just felt like everything was landed hard for FA. 8 or 9 right hands, and then a left hook and an uppercut had a TKO. Tony Weeks walked in, he's like, I think we're good. I think we've seen enough there. But I did like what I saw out of Postal. I thought he looked pretty good. It was a good fight and whatnot. I'm going to hold off. I got one more fight to talk about, but I'm going to bring in Carcino and see what's going on with him. Carcino, man, what's going on, buddy? How the hell are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing pretty good right now. So.
Now I'm watching the NBA playoffs on DVR, so no spoilers, please, sir. No spoilers, okay?
Oh, no, I wouldn't do it.
He wouldn't do that to me. I mean, unless it was like the Timberwolves or some shit, then it'd be different, Then it'd be different. So from last weekend, we had Rungvisai Estrada. Estrada looked good. Looked great, actually. Danny Roman looked really good against Donahue on the co-feature. That was probably the best fight of the night, or of the weekend. Regis Prograis took care of business. Relic, who's a crafty fighter, a good-ass fighter, a solid fighter. He took care of him like there was no problem at all. Sliced right through him. And then we had the debacle that, thank God, ended in a draw because neither guy deserved to win the fight, Easter Jr. and Bartholomew. Where do you want to start before we get into this Canelo and Jacob stuff? You know, I heard an interview through a couple of sources after the fight with Easter Jr. and Espinoza, the head honcho over there at Showtime, he was wondering maybe 135, maybe he was afraid to throw punches because he was going to get tired. I don't know what it was. I know he's afraid to get countered to an extent. He was leery of it, but it's just so funny. For like the last couple of years, we've been asking this guy to fight just a little smarter, to fight to his, you know, his length and all that. Then this time, and usually it's just a brawl and he throws a bunch of punches. Now he didn't throw any punches because we kind of knew Bartholomew would sit back and counter. That's kind of his style. 130, he was a little bit more, you know, aggressive, but not really. What the hell happened to Easter Jr.'s output? And was it just the fact that he's worried about getting countered? But like I said, I'm kind of glad that nobody won that fight because nobody deserved to win it, quite frankly.
Well, I mean, I don't want to see this fight again. That's how big it was. It was close only because of the inactivity. I mean, it was bad. Like for Robert Easter Jr., I think the Mikey Garcia fight really did him in. But in this fight, he was so unsure of himself. He would not let his hands go. He wouldn't do pretty much anything. I'm watching it. I'm like, my God, but neither is Ruiz and Bartholomew. They both were sitting around like thinking so much that the thinking, you thought like it was like a fill-out round for 12 rounds. And I felt bad for anybody who had to watch that fight. That was not a boxing match. That was sparring with somebody you're not trying to hurt. And I'm like, what is this? Like, they'll throw one good shot, it lands, everything else is getting caught by the gloves or not even a good shot, period. Nobody wants to commit. You got two guys that don't want to really commit to making a mistake. It was like, how do I pick a winner out of this? I mean, when they called the draw, I was just like, what else to call it? Just eliminate this fight altogether. You know, Bartholomew was crafty. Yeah, I give him that. You know, he could tell whenever Robert Easter was throwing the punches because he didn't do anything to set them up. He would telegraph a lot of his punches. And I told him this early in his career. I said, well, against these lesser opponents, you know, this is going to happen. You know, you're going to hit these guys, they're going to be gone. These guys got jobs at the mall. You know, he
got a job at the mall. He got a summer job at the mall.
Right. You know, this is just something they're doing fairly. But when you go up in talent, you're going to have to disguise your punches. You can't just telegraph. You'll get set up. Like, Fortuna exposed that. You know, and Fortuna really won that fight against him. And I was like, my goodness, you get exposed, you get set up for these shots for Fortuna. Fortuna's only got one hand, and he was landing it all night. And the reason in this fight is when he lost to Mikey Garcia, he started to doubt himself. And when he started to doubt himself, you saw it in his he wants to be selective, but he doesn't know how to not do what he's been doing for so long, and that's telegraphing punches. You know when Robert Easter is going to punch. At all times, you see it coming. Like a mile ahead, he does not throw the face enough. He's not making the right decision. It's just like unbelievable. He won't let his hands go. But I don't know if 135 he's finally hit the wall there. And it's time for him to move up to 140. But they definitely got to reevaluate what they're going to do with Robert Easter Jr., and especially if you might staff with him. And, you know, I'm quite sure the training is not the problem. I see it mostly as, you know, mental problems more than anything. So, I mean,
That's what it
the
seemed
most
like.
of the other fights, I didn't really see too much.
Because his dad was screaming for Easter. He's like, throw some punches, dude. His pops was just on him. And it's like he threw punches for the first 20 seconds and then was done. It was really weird, man. Go ahead, though. What were you going to say? You did see something?
It was two shots. It's like Adrian Broner. They're from the same camp. Right. And what happens is they train to be amateur fighters. You know, and in the amateurs, it was all about flash and land as many as you can. But the main problem happened there was once they moved to pros, they got by fighting so much lesser competition. And for fighting those guys for so long that when they started to move you up, you didn't change. You didn't, elevate your game. You didn't, discard anything. You basically stayed the same, thinking it was all going to be the same way. And that's the problem with a lot of, Heyman fighters. Unfortunately, they suffer from this trait of being fed what they like instead of development. Like, you got to put them in with different styles. You got to put them in with guys who, they have to think and adjust and put them with the right type of boxing trainers that can elevate them and show them some things that they're missing. Because I think at this point, Mike Stafford's taught them to the best that he knows, know about boxing. But they're definitely not selling things. They're not doing things, and it's hindering them. And to watch the decline of Robert Easter Jr., and it's just like, wow. This is just something, man. I mean, Robert Easter Jr. to me is definitely a talent at 135. He should have been in Tommy Hearns of the division. I told him, I'm like, dude, if you can keep making 135, you could be like 23rd. But he abandoned his jab. He's fighting at his opponent's level. He's not fighting tall. It's sad to see what happens. And sometimes it comes with fame. Get a little money, you're hanging out with the wrong people. Broner was the same way. Broner used to box, he used to be, movement, and now, he's reluctant to let his hands go. He'll throw some flashy punches here and there, and he'll stop for the rest of the round. And that's just that. So I'm just at a point now where I'm like, wow. I just don't know what direction they're going to go towards as far as the future for Robert Easter Jr. But they're going to really have to reevaluate how they do it, but they definitely don't do this fight again. Please, do not run this fight back.
No. That's what's funny, too, because it was for a vacant belt, and it's funny how neither of them, it just vacated because nobody won it. I was like, yep, that's about right. Nobody deserves that belt, and nobody deserved to win the fight. If I could put 9-9 the whole fucking, could we do negative scores? Because neither of them deserved this fight, man.
Yeah, and that's the way I looked at it. Now, the other fight that I seen was Regis. Now, I agree with you. That was the best I've seen Regis. His opponents, because they're doing this tournament, because they were going to put, what's his name, Rodriguez, the champ, he was supposed to fight him, and Bob Arum said, this is Lou DiBella's, Lou's thing, Lou wants to definitely make this tournament and have Regis, once he wins the tournament, then he'll come back to the table and fight for the title. So he's like, he could have had a shot, but Lou chose to put him in this tournament. And the tournament is going to come out better for him because in this, the way they're playing this game that they're doing, they're trying to build Regis pro breed up. I'm like, well, the guy, the champion, nobody really knows him. He's the guy that really needs to be built up. And Regis wants that belt. And he's like, I'm going to win the tournament. And then when I win the tournament, I want the belt. I want that title fight. So now he feels like we're going to come back to the table with more control, more power, more bargaining position. So But I was like, well, we'll wait and see what happens. You know, in that frame, he's like, you know, we'll just see what transpires out of it. If something comes out of it, good. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But mainly, I think he looked incredible. The first time I seen him use head movement in a long time, and when you brought that up, I was like, yep, that was he boxed. And I was like, wow, I forgot he boxed.
Right?
He actually can box. And that's the thing that got me. I'm like, man, this guy can box, and he really don't get the opportunity to display that, but he can box. And I remember he used to spar with Samaje all the time. But Samaje used to get him ready for fights all the time. He used to tell me, like, man, like Regis, man, he is something else. He said it takes a lot, you know, to beat Regis. You know, you got to really be on your A game, you know, to beat Regis. Like, he's tough because you cannot let him get momentum. If you let him get momentum of the fight, he won't let it go. So he's like, it takes a lot to, you know, you got to really be ready when you go up against Regis. Because believe me, he was like, Regis will beat, he's like, Rodriguez, or he's like, I fought him in the Olympics. Like, we were on the same Olympic team, in Olympic trials. So he's like, yeah, I remember it knowing completely. He's like, I'll tell you right now, Regis will beat him. He's like, they'll do the fight. He's not ready for Regis. It's like mentally, he's like, no. He won't laugh. But Regis is just incredible, man. He has power in both hands. That's what somebody was. He's like, no, he hits just as hard as I do. He's like, he got power in both hands. He's like, he's a very solid puncher. And he's like, he's going to demand your respect in the ring, you know, but he can box, you know. He's got movement. He came up in the amateur ranks, and he was tough. You know, guys couldn't really deal with him. I would like to see him throw more body punches. You know, I would like to see that out of him, but he looked great. He looked great. The other fights, I didn't get a chance to catch those. I missed a lot of those fights this weekend. I was trying to watch NBA. I was so busy and moving around, so I didn't get a chance to catch a lot of these other fights.
Yeah,
like,
it's 100% NBA now. Yeah, I mean, the last couple of weeks, it's been basketball since mid-March, really, and now they've had like 4 games on Saturdays. You know what I mean? Like, just one after another, and yeah, it's tough. It's a tough time for boxing to kind of stand out, you know, in this part of the year. But soon those NBA games won't be on Saturday nights anymore, you know.
Oh yeah, and then like this Saturday was like, wow. You know, they figured everybody was gonna be pretty much watching the Avengers anyway, so. They tried to get as many games as they could as possible before people go out and run into the movie theaters. So, yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that thing blew up over the weekend. I saw those numbers. I was like, oh, shit, dude. It's breaking records.
Yeah, they got probably 700,000 to $1 million off me. I was like, well, I'm probably responsible for about 1 million of those bucks. I was like, spending money. I can't wait to see the bill. I haven't seen that movie like, 4 or 5 times?
That's funny.
Oh, man, I know everything about it. But I don't know who's on the Canelo undercard. That's where I've been trying to find that out for the longest. I'm like, who's on the Canelo undercard?
Well,
Jacob.
You know, it was supposed to be this John Ryder and Lemieux, but Lemieux got hurt, so he pulled out. It's either weight or hurt with him.
I remember Lemieux pulling out.
And it's just he's always either not making weight or barely making weight or hurt. I don't know what's up with him, dude. But
well,
that was kind of
he's older. He can't really cut the weight. He needs to just start campaigning at 74 and call it. You know, it's like, look, you're light heavyweight or whatever super middleweight, you need to go there.
Yeah, super middleweight, right.
Right. You need to just do what you got to do. But all of this trying to cut the midweight, you can't make it. At your age, at this point in your career, you know, it's not suffice or even believable that you can even make it at this point.
Right. And then
now
Lamont Roach Jr., Jojo Diaz, Virgil Ortiz Jr., Saddam Ali, they're all fighting like Pablo Cesar Cano and Michael Perez. That could be good. Virgil Ortiz Jr., the prospect, is actually taking on Mauricio Herrera, but at this stage, you just don't know what Herrera's got left right now. You know what I mean? I don't know if it'll be a true test for him or not.
No, Herrera's a bit slower now, so I've seen him. He's a little heavier, a lot slower, and that's not good for him. He gets hit a lot more than he did previously, and yeah, that's not. He's still got some boxing ability now. He's still there. He's still tough, but he's way more beatable now than he was back then. You know, and that's the guy who's been robbed of his history. Because that guy's supposed to be world champion, had belts everywhere. I'm like,
yeah,
how many
Benavidez and
Garcia.
Garcia. Yep, Benavidez and Garcia, both those, he won those.
Yeah,
he beat
exactly.
Benavidez
like,
like 9-3. He literally beat Benavidez like 9-3.
How many millions of dollars legacy that got robbed from that guy? That guy is talking about stolen legacy. My goodness, where would he
even
be
right now? Even 1 million, you know what I mean? $1 million. I mean, that's a lot.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And now he's undercard. I mean, his whole career has been ruined by that, and the fact that he would have beat two undefeated guys as an underdog and would have been world champion in both. How huge would that have been for his career? I mean,
and then it would have been like Max better.
That's just the two on my mind right now. He's got other fights he got robbed of.
Exactly.
This guy couldn't. He could not catch a break, and it was like unbelievable. He was like, "Well, don't worry, we're gonna put you in another fight and get you some money." But I'm like, this guy definitely earned more than money. He earned the right to have, you know, to be the champion. He wants to be the world champion and bring it back to Riverside, California and say, look, I did it. You know, this guy did it. And he did it the right way. And, I mean, that's what boxing is supposed to be about. Like, when I watch Ugas, guy for 4 years, man, worked hard to get to this point, and to get ripped off like that, you just destroyed a Rocky story. You know, it's just sad. You know, because you don't want to blow a potential big fight with Sean Porter. Are you kidding me? It just makes no sense. No sense what they're doing. And I thought the PBC was supposed to be fixing this problem. Yeah, it's like they replaced the people who were in power, and they're doing the same thing. And my goodness, man. We're right back in the bad spot all over again. And when I mean the bad spot, and this is with top-ranked fighters and PBC fighters not fighting each other. PBC
it's back.
don't want to make a fight.
It's like sub-zero now. It's like Antarctic.
Top-ranked fighters really are trying to make fights with it. They want to make a fight with PBC guys because they believe they got the better fighter. PBC, they want to control every aspect of it and don't want to split any money with Top Rank at all or ESPN. So what they want to do is they want to try to drain them out of opponents so they have to come to them. Top Rank and ESPN will never, ever, ever run out of an opponent. Mark my words, they will never run out of opponents.
Credible
They
opponents,
will find people to fight.
Credible, Garcino, though? Credible opponents?
Credible, watchable. I'll tell you that much. Watchable.
That's
opponents.
fair.
You would know.
All right.
Especially for like Terrence Crawford. Like if they make a fight with Terrence Crawford, Kell Brook, which they're talking about getting done.
Yep.
They're already another fight. They already got another opponent ready for when that fight's over because they don't trust. They want to make the fight with Errol Spence. They really want to. They're like, look, let's do this thing. We'll split it, everything 50-50 down the middle. They're like, let's go. Let's get the fight going. Bob Errol has come with terms. Like, look, we got terms. We're talking split, down the middle, 50-50. Let's get it. Let's get to the table. Let's talk. They're not talking. Al Heyman and his team has a goal that they want to do with Errol Spence. They're going to try to promote him and make him their superstar. So they're keeping him in all these plush fights. Now, I don't want to see him fight Collazo. I don't want to see him fight Sergey Lipnitz in his next fight. My thing is, we've been watching fluff for a long time from you guys. Now, we were told the PBC is going to have the best fight in the best. So I'm expecting to see Danny Garcia in the next fight one of these guys. Danny Garcia said, look, I'll fight Terrence Crawford. I have no problem in making that fight. He's like, I don't want the two guys I lost to. I want Porter, Thurman, or give me Porter, Thurman, or give me, what's his name? Porter, Thurman, or Terrence Crawford. He's like, those are the fights I'm really looking forward to. Now, I'm very leery of the fact that they want to make money and understand they want to build things up. But my thing is, what confidence do you have in Errol? If you're not going to make the fight, if Errol's not fighting Pacquiao, Keith Thurman, or Sean Porter, those are acceptable fights to me.
Right. And it sounds like he's fighting Porter.
Well, if he's fighting Porter, then okay. I'm cool with that. Because I guess the Pacquiao negotiation thing isn't going the way they thought. So, Manny had eye problems or something wrong with his eye, and that took him out of the main fight.
Well, not only that, but if you look at the online after that fight, a lot of people were calling for Thurman Pacquiao. They actually didn't want to see Spence and Pacquiao. Most people were calling for Thurman in that. So I think that's why they're going to go that route, Thurman against Pacquiao in July on Fox pay-per-view.
Well, if that happens, then, I'm cool with that, even though I'm kind of not cool with it because Keith Thurman to me has proven diddly squat as far as being a fighter or anything else. I'm just pretty much done on Keith Thurman. And they was like, well, that was a tune-up fight. I'm like, well, yeah, he got tuned up. And it's like he's doing the same thing he did in all his other previous fights.
He got tuned up. He did get tuned up. 7th round, he got tuned up.
Yeah, that was it. He's out of gas. No time, Thurman. I'm like, it's 3-4 rounds and he's done. Because he's basically having a weight loss camp. And while he's having a weight loss camp, he's trying to sit there and run actual drills, and that's why he keeps getting hurt. And if you kept yourself in shape and stayed focused on the game and your goals in boxing, instead of using this as a job, like, I got the money, now I can just go out and get all fat and I'll just lose weight when it's time to make the fight.
Travel the world.
He hasn't had a knockout in I don't know how long. He hasn't had a knockout in I don't know how long. So I'm like, one time for what? He's good for running off at the mouth. The run time is perfect. Because that's all he does. He sits there and run off at the mouth. And that crazy.
Do you think Pacquiao's going to beat him? You think Pacquiao's going to beat him?
I'll pick Pacquiao to beat him. Yeah, I'll pick Pacquiao to beat him. Because he's going to run out of gas. He's only going to be strong to fight Pacquiao for 3 rounds. He's not going to be able to. Pacquiao is too smart. He's going to set traps, and when Pacquiao hit him, Pacquiao could hurt him. And you saw him get hurt by the Riverside Rocky. Now, the Riverside Rocky has been stopped. And, like, I don't know how many fights he had. He fought Ruiz, he gets stopped. He fought Canelo, he got stopped. Every time he fights somebody, he gets stopped.
Maidana, you're right.
Going, he gets stopped. And now, this fight, he's stalking you down from the last couple of rounds. You're running from the Riverside Rocky. They picked him so that you could have a highlight performance. They highlighted your return. Every time they marketed these guys, the PBC, they turned out to do deadly squat for the premier fighters. I'm like, these are the premier fighters? I want to see the undercard. Because the undercard guys are whooping them. They, Sean Porter, they did this special on him, and Ruiz came in and ate his lunch. And I'm like, well, the main guys are getting exposed out here. Give me Ruiz and Thurman or somebody, because I'm like, these guys out here fighting.
Yeah, Thurman better come ready.
And the thing about Keith Thurman is he's so basic. It's unbelievable. He telegraphs his punches. And he's so basic, and he's been getting by fighting a bunch of stoolies that when he started fighting people who could actually fight him back, we started to see a difference in Keith Thurman. You know, and I said, wow, this guy is really beatable, because he wasn't going to beat himself by not preparing the right way for the fight, by trying to make a weight loss camp instead of, you know, coming in focused and staying on near weight and on point. But this time, at least he hasn't been in front of the cameras and all the fights running his mouth 24/7, you know, about how great he is. And, yeah, you know, and the key.
He's a good dancing partner for Manny. He's definitely a good dancing partner for Mandy because he can talk shit and he's undefeated. So it's not like Broner talking shit where people are kind of like, they still know him, you know, but you're still kind of like, yeah, whatever, Broner. But I do think that bad guy, people have what you're saying, Carcino, is kind of the theme online. It's like, dude, we were with you a couple of years ago, but now we're not with you, Thurman. And now a lot of people want to see Thurman get, you know, got.
Yep. And now it's like people want to see him lose, and he's okay with that. He's just like, as long as people want to see me. And then it's like, no problem. But we want to see you fight the upper echelon. So if they do a quarter in Aerosmith, I have no problem with that fight whatsoever. Even though I felt Ugas beat him, but at least that's a fight I can get behind.
Yeah,
you know,
at least it's doing something. It's unifying. There's another belt now connected. And so, yeah, at least there's a step in the right direction. I agree. But I agree with you. If you're not, you know, fighting and then the winner of Thurman Porter and, like you said, Danny Garcia, you got to be fighting these guys, you know, like almost consecutively if you're not going to fight proper. I agree.
Right. That's what they say they're supposed to be about. So I'm like, okay, well, we understand it, but you kind of gave us a fluff fight. Because Errol Spence has fought Kell Brooks. He's fought 2 fights. That fight was 2 years ago. He fought 2 fights. One fight being
like 2.5
I don't know what that was. Right.
Yeah, it's like 2.5. Yeah, that's a half fight. He fought Lamont in
Right. That made it a half a fight. That was like 60 seconds.
Yeah, it was.
Right. Like, wow. Geez.
First body shot.
So then you turn around and you fight Mikey Garcia. And then you don't even stop Mikey Garcia. You know, I give you credit, but Mikey was coming up 2 weight classes, and I'm like, you dominated the fight, and he's talking about I didn't use my size. Yeah, you did. I mean, you used some boxing ability, but you used your size.
You definitely use your length.
Your size. You know, Mikey couldn't get in. Mikey is basically a guy who really didn't have too much of an amateur career. He started boxing late. You know, him just getting involved in boxing was like a fluke. And he just stuck with it because he was actually winning some tournaments, but he was beat as an amateur, but he never loved it. You know, this was not something he wanted to do for the rest of his life. And he tells you that over and over again, like, this was not something I chose. You know, loved it as I started doing it. But he's like, this was like never really my passion, even when I was winning tournaments.
Yeah.
You know, boxing was never my passion. So
yeah,
I
he says if
see
he
that
didn't have that break, that he would have actually probably retired by now. But that break kind of re-energized him. So you're exactly right.
Yeah, exactly. It got him back pumped because he was out those 2 years because he didn't love it as much as they did. Like boxing was a way out for them. He grew up with money. You know,
Sure.
He grew up. His family got money. You know, he was pretty much okay because his brothers were making all this money on the road. So he grew up like the spoiled kid. You know, pretty much, and he doing what he wants to do. Then there was like one guy couldn't make it that they had on their fighting list, and they were like, Mikey, you're getting in the ring. You know, you're fighting.
Like,
we need you to step up. And that started his amateur and whole boxing career. He was like, what? Like, yeah, the fighter couldn't make it. We need you to step in. And that started his amateur career. One fighter there couldn't make it. They got Mikey to step in for the amateur fighters. And then he's like, I won. So he's like, man, it was just crazy. That started my amateur career. And that's crazy how that happened. But still, Mikey is 2 weight classes under Arrow. So Arrow still hasn't really fought a legitimate welterweight since beating Kell Brooks. So we can't really judge him.
To be fair, though, Thurman was out and Porter didn't want it until lately, and Crawford wasn't in the weight class. So now the pressure's on because everybody's in the weight class.
I'm not mad that he took the fight. I'm just saying I can't credit him. The thing is, I can't credit, like everybody crowned him. Oh, he's best. He's up there with Terry. I was like, I can't credit him. Because he really hasn't fought nobody since he won the title. So I'm like, when he fights another welterweight or a fight of stature, then I can start crowning him. Let him be the shot Porter or Thurman. It's going to take to beat those guys so you can get solidified in your division. I'm not mad at him when he got the money. I'm like, definitely do that. Get your money. Yeah. That was a good money fight. It was great. I gave him full credit for what he did, but I can't crown him like best welterweight like everybody else. You know,
no, I agree with that. I agree.
Yeah, I'm like, well, legitimately, he should have stopped him if that was the case. You know, but he made a lot of mistakes in that fight too early. I'm like, wow, that was, you know, probably nerves. It took him a while to really get settled, but it happened. But a fight with him and Terrence, that's like a mega fight. That's gonna be the one.
That's going to be a great fight.
Everything back on course.
Yeah, that'll be a great fight. And by the time it happens, it'll actually do well on pay-per-view too, whereas it would do good right now. But if it's another year, it would be better because then people start to want it, and that's when the casuals come in. Speaking of casuals, Canelo versus Jacobs. Now, Jacobs 2 years ago basically had his best performance against Gennady Golovkin. Once he got comfortable in that fight, it took him a while, but once he got comfortable, he was attacking Gennady's body, something Gennady wouldn't do to Canelo. How do you see this fight breaking down? Will Jacobs go back to his old style of coming forward? Will he try to be in the middle? Will he be on the move a little bit and let Canelo come to him? Jacobs, with the jab and going to the body, is key. Now, obviously, you can't go to the body too much because Canelo will counter you, and we saw that against Golovkin. He was countering Golovkin pretty well in both fights, especially off the ropes in the first fight. How do you see this one breaking down, Garcino? Canelo versus Jacobs. And I kind of feel like I saw more commercials for Canelo and Rocky than I have for Canelo and Jacobs. It's just kind of strange to me. But how do you see this fight playing out?
Well, yeah, you're right. The promotion has been really muggy. They decided to, because they spent so much advertising on television on the last fight, that they spent a lot of the budget money doing that, and it didn't really pan out, that they were wasting their money. So they wanted to try to maximize the things that they saw from the charts of where their attention was being, drawn from, and most of it was internet. So they spent the majority of their money instead of trying to promote like heavy during the during the television ads and spots,
Right.
they choose certain programs. Like on the Spanish network, they do it heavy. You'll see it a lot on the Spanish network. And then they look at the target of the internet. They put most of their promotion in the internet ads and everything else. So you'll see a lot of plugs on the internet during this week. It's heavy. They're going to talk about it on, I think, Fox, on a couple of the sports shows this week. So people are doing their rounds. They're set for Wednesday, Thursday, on the presser, because that's when most of the buys come in anyway. So people start coming to see the show, and they're looking for people to sign up and more frequently. So I'm starting to see things here and there, but they're very selective on how they're using the budget money because they
I'm glad they put it
learned,
in the theater,
they lost their shirt. Right, and I saw it there too. I wanted to see it on the big screen. That's where I'm gonna go this time.
I like when they do that. They got to give us an option.
Yeah,
I wish they would have done that with Crawford and Khan. Give a $20 option, dude. Maybe we don't want to pay $70. How about $20?
I mean, it wasn't the movie theaters.
Crawford
you
Khan?
could have went to the movie theaters. Yeah.
Not that I saw.
It was at selected movie theaters. I think.
It must have been in.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, it must have been in an independent film selective, because I didn't see any of it.
Maybe I'm wrong, because I think it probably was at a bar. I'm thinking now that I'm thinking about it, they were showing it at a bar. Right, so I think a bar was showing it. I don't know if it was Champs or one of those type bars, but yeah, I definitely like watching them on the screen. So I will be watching Canelo. That's gonna be at all the movie theaters. But I'm like, the people are like, dude, you can spend cheaper on the app. I'm like, well, I'd rather watch that at the movie theater. I had fun watching it at the movie theater. When Pacquiao fought Broner at the movie theater, that was great.
I've watched basically the last 5 pay-per-views. I've watched all in the theater, man.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. The fans are in there. They were great. Everybody was interacting. It was a great time. And then I don't have to clean up behind everybody.
Exactly.
I'd be like,
and
I don't have to clean up
reserve
behind
your spot.
throw out bottles.
You could come and go. You could go get a drink. You can go get something to eat. You can come and go. Your spot's reserved. So, I like it. I like it.
Where I'm at, people start bringing and sneaking beers and
right.
The clanking going on. I'm like, they got a bar here, man. I can't pay those prices.
Yeah.
It's rich for my blood. Yeah. So I think
what about
breaking down the style of the fight, I think matchup wise for Canelo, he's faced a guy like this before. Austin Trout. Austin Trout was very similar. He didn't have the size, the power of Jacob, but Jacob, the speed of Canelo and the way he sets traps and feints will disturb Jacob. Jacob is going to try to box and use his angles early and try to pick when he's going to, press and be strong. So he's going to try to react off what Canelo is doing. So when Canelo's feeling him out, and what Canelo's going to hurt him at is body punches. And we know how he thinks he knows how Canelo is going to do it. But when he tries to engage with Canelo and he thinks his power is going to be the determining factor, Canelo's going to counter him with body punches. And those counter body punches are going to take the wind out of him because Canelo knows how to punch when you're punching. When you're throwing a punch, he can shoot right for the body, real fast and quick. He's timed those shots and got them at home a lot quicker, and Jacobs has a lot of times where he tries to punch, and he's kind of wide on a lot of his punches, and he kind of like haymakers, where it's not really sharp. It's more loopy, more unorthodox type punches. And then he'll throw the straight ones that, like, okay, these are good punches, and then some are just sloppy, like arm punches, like almost like clubbing shots. And it's like Jacobs, it's like he does well for a little bit in spots, and then he has those moments where he's just all over the place, and he can't get it all centered. And when you see that happen with him, you go like, oh, you should have, and he did it a lot in the Gennady Golovkin fight, and then as the fight went on, he got in a rhythm because Triple G, tired, and they banking on Canelo running out of gas. But you got to do something for Canelo to run out of gas. Canelo ran out of gas and got a second win down to, that 9, 10, 11, and 12 when he did in the first Triple G fight. He started strong, then he ran out of gas, and then he closed the show. That's how it's supposed to go, but as far as the champion stepping up, but Jacobs is banking on, I can stop him, get him tired, go down to the body, and he got to use his length. And that, Austin had success using that, and then he won a lot of rounds. But Canelo is an entirely different fighter from back then. Entirely different. He's much more heavy-handed. And as far as solid, he's at this weight class at 60, way solid. I was worried about him coming down in weight. After fighting at like 68 for his last fight, and then coming down to middleweight to fight for the title, like how would that have an effect on him? Trying to stay at this weight, but I guess apparently he's having no problem with what they're telling us with him making the weight. So I just see Canelo probably stopping Jacob late in the fight. I think he probably catches him late, around 9 or 10, with some body shots. I think it's going to be the body punches that do it. Jacobs is a big guy. He can take some shots, but when Canelo lands, Canelo is very solid with his punches, where Jacobs is a little, like I said, clubby and mostly boxing skills, and he's hoping that you run into something. And I'm like, look, Triple G dropped it, barely touching him dropped. Canelo lands solidly on him, it can really bother him. And he's going to realize there's another level real fast. And Jacob's going to have to get settled down and the pressure of the fight. He thinks he's going to control the pace of the fight. Canelo's going to give him that illusion and then snatch it away from him real quick. And then he's going to panic and then go into an all-out, let me try to stand my ground here and get himself hurt even further. So that's how I see the fight playing out. But I think it's hard to keep him in it for about 89. But I think we'll pretty much know who the winner is at that point, and that Jacobs would have to do something big to turn the fight around, and I don't think it's going to happen for him. I like him as a fighter. He's got heart. He's coming to win. He's not going to come to lay down.
Right.
So
yeah,
definitely, it's going to be something to watch. So I'm up for it. I'm game.
And we've seen him hurt plenty of times too. He's been hurt plenty of times.
Yeah. I mean, he got dropped by the man that won the Contender.
Mora.
They had to do a rematch because of that fight.
Yeah.
Sergio Mora dropped him after he knocked down Mora, and Mora caught him and dropped him. And then he had to get up. Then that fight was controversial. They had to do a rematch for him to get rid of Mora. The Latin Snake. And a lot of people was like, man, I forgot he fought the Latin Snake twice. I'm like, yeah, he had to fight him twice because he couldn't get the job done the first time.
Well, I appreciate you calling in, man. Definitely, it's good to hear you on the show, man.
I was able to make it. Last time I was just like, I got to get in, but now I'm at a place I'm supposed to be on my Monday night. I'm like, man, it's Monday night.
Right.
I'm out and there's music going. I'm like, I can cut away when it's time. Then it was like, no, we're getting into the danger zone now.
Well, I appreciate it. I think it helps if I give you a time frame earlier than I normally had too. So that helps out, so you can at least plan for it too.
Oh yeah, no problem, buddy. All right, I'm gonna get out of here.
All right,
y'all
enjoy the weekend.
Have a great day. And
yes, sir.
Everybody
Enjoy the
out there,
the
thank
theater.
you guys for listening. I don't know if I'm going to the theater today because I got the Golden State Warriors game coming on next. So I'm
No, I'm saying the fight. Enjoy the fight at the theater.
Enjoy the fight at the theater. Oh, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
You too, buddy.
All right, man. You take it easy. All right.
All right.
All right, Carcino for Life on YouTube, as you already know, BoxingSocialist.com as well. And, CT and Carcino did make a variety of good points. It is true he is more of a clubbing puncher. At times he can put his punch together nicely. It does seem like he's paced himself a little bit more than in the past, years ago. But, he may have to kind of go back to his aggressive style to win this fight, though, because you can't fight at a medium pace with Canelo because that's what he wants to fight at. And he just wants to inch towards you little by little, not come forward. He wants it right in the middle of the ring, if at all possible, and just start to land his punches, get his combos going, get his jab going. And he's just a more gifted, all-around better fighter, I think, than Jacobs Canelo is, and especially offensively. I think that's some of the keys there, offense against defense. Now, I'm not trying to make Canelo out to some great defender, but he's improved, and he can move with his feet out of there, too, if he needs to. Not that Danny can't, because he can, but he doesn't really flash that as much. But, I mean, the jab, definitely. Some of those body shots, he's going to have to get to Canelo's body, something Golovkin just couldn't do. But there's a price to pay. You can't overdo it either because you'll get countered. And I wonder, is Jacobs going to kind of blend what he's been doing kind of from the outside, against Golovkin? Well, Golovkin was coming forward and pretty aggressive early. I actually watched a chunk of that fight last night. And he was moving well. He had actually stayed on a game plan, probably in a high-level fight anyway, that we hadn't seen probably in his career. I mean, Quillen was such a quick fight that you can't really get a ton out of that fight, besides Danny can hit. But I don't know. I think he should be patient, but I think he's going to have to come forward, or at least bring pressure, has to be smart, but he has to throw more punches than Canelo. If he's going to win this fight, I don't think he can just take his time. I shouldn't say that. Taking his time, of course, he wants to be patient, take your time, yada, yada, yada. But to me, I just feel like he's got to have more work rate. If you're going to beat, there's already a scorecard in for Canelo, right? And the other judges probably have, or at least one judge has, round 1, round 12, and round 6 filled out already. You know what I mean? That's just how it goes. And so he's going to have to hurt him. He's going to probably have to drop him, at least hurt him. If it's hurting him, he's got to hurt him a couple times then throughout the fight. But just to get that point to knock him down would be huge. And I just wonder, is he going to come forward and really apply pressure and try to work the body more than Triple G was able to do? Or, like I said, will he blend some of the outside approach there and maybe make it awkward for Canelo a little bit? But I don't see him moving that much to where Canelo would go after Chase. He's not going to move around like Lara. And like I said, the last couple of years you've seen that, and I think I'm not going to say perfected it, but I think the best performance we saw with a more patient, more conservative, but yet still, especially when he got comfortable, like I mentioned earlier, again, Danny against Golovkin, that was really smart, but it's just different because it's very Canelo's not going to come out gunning. You know what I mean? But Danny does have a 2.5 reach, so you wonder with that jab. I think if they stayed in the middle of the ring a little bit with bringing that pressure, try to use some angles if you can, or at least angles with your punches if you're Jacobs. Yeah, but you can still have that reach advantage going forward or applying the pace to the fight because you do have that if you're careful. Kind of like we were just talking about Spence, how he was going at Garcia, but he was careful for most of the fight until later he started getting a little bit more. And then you got to ask yourself, was that the peak Danny Jacobs against Golovkin? In that some people thought he won, some people thought it was a moral defeat. Some people thought it was more acceptable, is more than acceptable to call it a draw. But I just don't know. That could have been peak Jacobs. And I kind of think it was to an extent because Danny has, we've talked about this with plenty of fighters. He does have a bad habit of fighting up to the opposition level. But it's happened, like at least sometimes he does that, but then the next fight he kind of learns from it, and then a couple fights later he does it again, that type of thing. Whereas if you look at the last 3 outings, he's done exactly that. He's fought to the level. And he's flashed in those fights. His last 2 against Derevchenko and Sulecki, he did knock him down and everything like that. He definitely showed flashes of what he could do, but can he have that flash from those 2 to 3 fights and make it consistent against Canelo? Because it's going to have to be even better than the Gennady fight in my mind. I still think that to an extent it can pay dividends to that body if he can attack it. But I just think that, like I said, it comes back to the defense. Ultimately, Jacobs' defense will undo him. And he'll be very good, but I don't know if it'll be a great overall performance. I think Canelo's the better all-around fighter. I think offensively we're going to see – I just think he's going to break down his defense. But I think it'll be competitive. I think Danny – one thing about Danny is if he's down on the cards, he's going to bring it. And by the mid to late in that Golovkin fight, it's like he had been knocked down, he had been through the boogeyman stuff, and it was like mentally gone. And then all of a sudden, like I feel like if they rematched right after that fight or within a year, I think Jacobs could have beat him. And he was hurting Golovkin's body. Like I said, I'm not trying to say Sugar Ray Leonard shoe shine body. You don't want to sit there and just get countered all day, but he has to take it to the body a little bit at least, or at least to the hip, something. You know what I mean? But I did agree with Garcia, when he said the body punching is going to be, because sometimes he'll just shell up with a high guard, Jacobs will, and I can just see, Canelo when he doesn't have a something to aim at or a target to go through at the head, attacking that body, and then he has really come along as a fighter. So I have Canelo, but I think it'll be by decision. But I think it'll be unanimous, like a competitive, very competitive but clean win, like 7-5, 8-4, probably 8-4. I'll say 8-4, which is like 10-2 with Canelo. You know what I mean? But I see Canelo winning. But I think it'll be a very good fight. Like I said, I just think the holes on defense, and I know he says he's got a game plan A, B, C, D, and all that, but he's got about 2 game plans. And he's got about 3, and the third is just fuck it, let's just brawl. And I think Garcia's right. I think that's some of the difference. Sometimes you'll see some guys that are losing that are just happy to lose, and some dudes will be like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going for it. And I think we will see that out of Jacobs, which will make it an interesting fight. But he has to throw more punches than Canelo. I'm going to go out to 3-1-0. What's going on, Mark? How the F are you?
Hey, Chris. What's going on?
Not a whole lot, man. A little bit early of a show tonight. It's kind of weird getting on at a little after 7, but I'm doing pretty good, man. We had a good weekend last weekend, and I'm really excited about this Canelo-Jacobs fight. How about you, man?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I feel like it's the first, meaningful fight in a little, I'm actually surprised they're doing it in the theaters. That's kind of cool. I thought that they would, eliminate that because it's not pay-per-view, but, it's kind of cool that they're doing that.
I agree.
Did
I think that nowadays you got to do that. Yeah, the Canelo. Yeah, well, Canelo's fights have been, but the both Golovkins were, in the Rocky one was too, I'm pretty sure. I didn't go to it, but I'm pretty sure that one was too. I think nowadays, because the price is so high, obviously not in this instance, but they were doing it before. And I just think you got to give that option, man. And the fact that you get that advertising to a wide variety of demo walking into a theater randomly, you know?
Yeah. And it's kind of makes it even more retarded with that price change, because like if you're still doing the Canelo fights in the theaters, you still got off the price from $19.99, but whatever. It's kind of weird. But
it is weird.
Yeah, I'm sure you already recapped. Yeah, recap the fights from last weekend. I'll just get right into the fight this weekend. I don't know. Do you know? I mean, because this will like sort of solidify my pick for sure. Like, how many fights does Jacobs have with his own? Do you know?
None. He hasn't had one. This is his first one because he was on HBO.
No, I mean, how many? How many on his contract?
Okay. I believe it's 3.
Oh, it's 3?
3 fights. I think so.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess it changes things a bit. I thought it would just be like one. I didn't know if it was. Well,
let me double check while you're thinking about it. But that is a good point to bring up, though. Yeah,
because at first glance, when you look at it, at least for me, right off top, I was like, okay, Jacob's going to get stopped in the later rounds. But if you think about it, it's like if they have a couple fights on there, and with the amount of money that they're paying over to Golovkin, I mean, what are you going to do? Have Golovkin fight Canelo fucking 3 times? No. You know what I mean? You can have Golovkin fight Canelo once, and maybe Andre once, and I don't know how many fights Triple G has, but I mean, it seems like they would need Danny Jacobs to be there, and for him to get stopped, is less likely if the more fights he has on his own. But again, I don't know how much you can base that on a pick. You know what I mean? I feel like it
is 3. It's 3 of them, and
okay.
Golovkin 6.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It just seems like they're going to need him for another Golovkin fight. So for him to get stopped, I guess is not as likely as I thought beforehand. But the reasons why I think he's going to get stopped is because when you look at it, it's like at first I thought that Jacobs was just a guy who was inconsistent. You know what I mean? You see him one fight and he looks good. You see him the next fight, he looks like shit. Or not like shit, but just like, just not as good. You know what I mean? You see him in the Selecki fight. You know what I mean? And what I noticed is it's his opposition. He fights the same every time. It's just his opposition. And you look at a person like Selecki, he has decent upper body movement, and he's a pretty good counterpuncher. He's a good boxer. Obviously underrated. He's good. Whereas when you look at the guys that Danny looked good against, Triple G and Derevchenko, they both have similar attributes in the sense that they don't really have good head movement, no good upper body movement. They just come straight ahead. That's the reason why Danny looked good against them. You know what I mean? When it comes to guys with good upper body movement, obviously the ultimate of this was the P-Rog fight. So P-Rog make Danny look like shit the entire time because of his movement. I think that was the main reason why he looks like shit and he looks good. I mean, it's just his level of opposition. People are saying that Jacobs, his movement might give Canelo problems. And it's like, we're not really looking at the way that Jacobs moves. He doesn't move like Lara. He doesn't move like that. If anything, he moves more like Canelo. He sort of just walks and steps.
Exactly.
He takes a walk. Great legs.
He just takes a walk.
Yeah,
exactly. And he can cut that off.
Yeah,
Canelo can cut that shit off.
Yeah, that's what Canelo wants. And so that's what makes me think stoppage. Stoppage late just because accumulation of right hands. I mean, Jacobs gets hit a lot, especially on the inside. And Canelo is one of those guys who, like, to beat him, I feel like, you got to be on the outside. You don't really see Canelo landing a lot of shit on the outside. He's more of like close range type of landing type of punches from, like, from close range. That's how he is. That's what he wants, and I think that he isn't really that good of, like, an outside fighter. Like, he really isn't. He's sort of like a wannabe slick fighter. He's never been slick. He's just like,
he's never been slick.
He doesn't
remember us saying this after the Golovkin fight? We're like, he doesn't outbox people, dude. He doesn't. He just doesn't do it.
He does.
Maybe he did in the amateurs, but he hasn't as a professional.
He hasn't. Yeah, and that's the reason why I was always, talking so much shit about Golovkin, because I knew, like, dude, he got outboxed by Jacobs, who's not even the outboxer. Like, you know what I mean? It was, and, like, I really wasn't talking shit when I was saying that. I mean, I said multiple times that I thought that Jacobs is a B-level fighter, and, in certain spots he is. You have to have the right opponent in front of him for him to look good. I really do believe that the only reason why he looked good against Golovkin is because Golovkin's lack of counterpunching and Golovkin's lack of movement, and it just made Jacobs look better. I actually don't believe that Jacobs won that fight against Golovkin. I think it was more like a draw, or maybe even, I would lean more towards Golovkin just because of the way that Jacobs fought. He wasn't really, like, he was fighting too scared. He was, like, really timid, and it made me want to not give him the round because of his body language. I actually, I think that fight, people are saying that he did. Yeah, like, if people were to say that Golovkin won that fight, like, by maybe one round, I would agree with them, or a draw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't think he did as good as people make it seem like he won, like he 8-4 or some shit. Like, he did better than Canelo this past time. No, he didn't. He really didn't. He was fighting scared. He was fighting like he was there to lose, and he knew it. And he fought the whole time like he was there to lose. Like, like.
Well, I'd say the first
I think now
5 rounds. I think once he got that knockdown out of his system and just said, fuck it, I actually think the second half, he actually was digging into the body. Then he was more game, but it's like, well, dude, you got to bring that from the start.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like, at the end of the day, who beat Canelo? I mean, definitively. He's had a lot of iffy bouts, but who has really beat him? Lara. I mean, an argument can be made that Lara won the majority of those rounds. And then Floyd. And you can't compare Floyd to anybody. And really, you can't compare Lara to anybody. Those are two masterclass fucking boxers in their own way. Lara, in his movement, is like, you don't see people move like that.
Different.
It's way different. When you look at it from that perspective, how the hell is Jacobs going to win? And so I don't see why people are looking at this like it's such a competitive fight. It's really not. I just think it's a meaningful fight for the division. I think it's a good fight for Canelo.
And I think how good he did against Golovkin, too. People are like, hey, man, this is going to be good because he did do really well against Golovkin.
Yeah, for sure. And, but, even though I'm saying stoppage late, we know how people are with Canelo. And, like, there are a lot of Canelo haters out there. And so even if he does get, like, an 11th round stoppage, people are going to be like, oh, but he lost a lot of the early rounds. Like, just because he has so many haters. Like, either way, people always claim that he lost all the time. Like, that's what I feel like. There's always people that are always –
like he should have
people
4
always say that
losses
he's always getting the benefit
or something. It's like, he didn't lose all.
Yeah, they always – yeah, it's almost like they don't – for something like they don't like Oscars, so they want to put it on him. Like, people have always hated on Canelo. I mean, everyone knows this. I mean, for some reason, even this past, the fact that you have so many people thinking that he lost is – yeah.
It's
so
like
I
Mayweather and Heyman. It's Mayweather and Heyman. Yeah. Heyman gets a lot of that shtick because of Mayweather. Now Mayweather's gone, so Heyman, and Heyman's obviously got a big stake in boxing, so that's where they can kind of project their hate.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, For sure. So, I mean, that really doesn't matter what Jacobs does. I mean, people are going to think that there's always going to be people out there that think that Jacobs outboxed them, in for the majority of the rounds and whatnot. I mean, I think that's a given. But yeah, I mean, it's really just looking at the Selecki fight. I really didn't want to look at like the Derevchenko and the Triple G fight because they're completely different fucking styles. When you look at the distance that Selecki liked to fight from, the same distance that Canelo likes to fight from, except Canelo is a much more polished boxer than Selecki, and I think is a little bit naturally bigger and stronger and is a way better counter puncher and has better upper body movement and uses his movement more, whereas Selecki was just sort of but if you look at the distance that Selecki kept, it's like exactly like the same distance that Canelo likes to fight from. That's the reason why I like to look at that fight. And I'm not saying that Jacobs lost that fight. He got that knockdown in the later rounds, which, but if he didn't get that knockdown in the later rounds against Selecki, that would have been, that could have gone either way. Could have gone either way.
The Derevchenko fight was tight as hell.
Oh yeah. Derevchenko fight was tight as hell too. I thought that Derevchenko was going to win that 7-5, but I actually think that Jacobs won it 7-5 actually. But Derevchenko again, he's one of like I said before, he's straight up and down, but he just has a great work rate and he just keeps on coming. And he's like a machine, but it's the same thing every time. He doesn't really change anything up. His head is in the same position. That's what you notice about Derevchenko, that, it's a lot different than a person like Canelo and whatnot. Like, yeah. I forgot the point that I was making before, but that's pretty much what it is. I mean, there's a lot of, Carcino made a good point earlier about the body shots too. I want to see how Jacobs is going to react to the body shots, especially later on in the rounds. I think that's going to definitely contribute to the stoppage, but it's really just accumulation of right hands, man. Jacobs gets hit fucking a whole lot. He doesn't slip punches naturally, I feel like. He seems like he's a little bit slippery, but not really. I mean, it's not as natural as you would think. Like, he's like, he's a wannabe slick boxer, man. It's not as natural.
He's got a European style, dude. He's got a straight up and down, stiff back European style, and then sometimes he'll literally lunge jump when he punches.
Yeah. What was CT's prediction? Did he predict knockout or just decision for Canelo?
I can't remember now. I think he said he's gonna knock him out.
Damn, yeah. Because I thought that it was a little weird that I thought that it was gonna be a knockout. I heard Teddy Atlas. I mean, the only other person I heard predict a knockout, but he wasn't real confident about it, was Teddy Atlas. I don't know. I mean, it is kind of like out there. But when you just look at the styles, he gets hit too much. Not many flush times. I don't know. We also don't know. I think people are making a little bit too much out of Canelo's power too. Yeah, for sure. I'm leaning more towards stoppage, definitely. But people are making a little bit too much out of Canelo's power. I don't think his power is proven at 160 yet. Because we know that Golovkin's power wasn't what they were making out to be. I think they're just believing that Canelo was all powerful because he was able to take Golovkin's punches. But I don't know. Like, I don't think it's really that proven. That's what makes me kind of on the fence about the knockout. I don't know if Canelo really has the power at 160.
I think it'll be that timing shot. When it happens, it'll be like we've been talking. Jacobs will leave himself open. And CT just texted me back. He did pick decision.
Okay, he did pick decision. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. If it was decision. But I think that it's overall, like the whole, I think after the fight, it's going to be more like Canelo lands the more, head turning blows, like the more like slow motion, like shots where like, Jacobs, like, snaps his head back and shit like that. Like he's going to be the one landing all those punches, Canelo. Like that's what's going to win him the fight in the long run. And what the percentage is on the knockout. I don't have the odds either. I don't even know who's favored. I'm assuming Canelo's probably favored by Canelo's probably like minus 150.
A little more than that. The last I saw, Jacobs is like it's actually going up for Canelo because a lot of people are getting into town. They're starting to put more money. Canelo's always goes up, or even closer. Remember, he started dropping towards Floyd. Closer to the fight too, but it's like a 2-1
He's
underdog for Jacobs.
Actually, it's weird. It's Intertops says Jacobs plus 333, and Canelo minus 450.
The minus I saw, or the highest. I just saw an article not long ago saying they've already seen it up to like plus 450 and stuff like that, but I didn't know if it got to 3 or 350 yet. So it's jumping. It's going to continue to jump too because the people are coming into Vegas and they always do that. I've been to a Canelo fight and seen it, and it just overall just noticed that with Canelo fights, especially in Vegas.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my prediction, man. And it's going to be a stoppage. Late stoppage. I'm with that whole. Yeah, I'm down with that prediction for sure. Fuck it. I don't know is there anything exciting on any of the undercards or anything like that?
There could be some. There is some like Virgil Ortiz is fighting Mauricio Herrera, but he's kind of faded now, and Lamont Roach Jr. There's some prospect fights. But David Lemieux and this John Ryder were supposed to fight at 168, but Lemieux got hurt. So that was like the co-feature. Jojo Diaz is fighting, but it's more of a stay busy. Better Bia is fighting the dude who Hot Rod, the guy who some people thought Marcus Brown. He beat Marcus Brown a couple years back on NBC or CBS.
Yeah.
I think it was CBS.
Yeah.
NBC, I don't know. But he's fighting Better Biev that night on ESPN, just so you know.
Virgil Ortiz, is he 140 or 47?
Garcia.
Is Virgil Ortiz? Is he? Is he 140 or 47?
I think he. Let me check actually before I start bullshitting here.
Just because I just feel like Mauricio Herrera is a good measuring stick for any of these guys.
Yeah.
Especially that level. Where you start hearing the name of a prospect a little bit more. I've been hearing Virgil Ortiz
he's
a little bit more and more. The past 6 months. Okay, so yeah. I mean, I think that's a good fight. Just because I think
he's 140.
Yeah, it's a good fight to see how he does against him because obviously Herrera gives everyone fucking problems for sure. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. And they've already announced for sure it's Andy Ruiz against Anthony Joshua.
Yep, 100%. It's finalized.
Sucks. That sucks. Well, whatever. I mean, I guess it's just because Luis Ortiz are not gonna. I mean, there's something fishy about that. I don't understand why Luis Ortiz wouldn't take that fight at that.
We're starting to hear news that I think they're from Florida. Some of his promoters were kind of misleading Ortiz on what the actual money was, and I guess they were because Eddie Hearn said he was going to expose them. That they were. That's why they went high because they figured, well, they'll just get in the middle. And Eddie just pulled the offer like, nah, dude, we're moving on. And Ortiz came out, and I guess he didn't even 100% know about the actual dollar amount, stuff like that. This is all, just coming out.
Yeah,
it could be complete speculation, but
yeah,
you're
but
right.
Then why isn't he just just jump into the fight then? Why didn't they like? I mean, come on.
That's
so
the
you
thing.
announced
It's like
it after.
it actually was more money than he thought. Like that he thought. That was rumored. Actually, I don't even know what he knew, but there is some stuff coming out with the people that he does business with, and I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds
a lot of
he
people
sounds
think
like
he was just trying
he doesn't
to,
get he probably because he doesn't get his juice time. It's time to jump on a cycle and
That's
jump
what
off
a lot of
his
people are
steroids
saying.
before.
They're
You know,
alleging that. Well, he's
like,
thinking, you know what? He just keeps peeing in a cup. It's like, nope, I'm not going to be able to
I
pass.
can't start getting tested next week. I can't start getting tested tomorrow. Fuck.
Right,
I gotta jump back on something. I've been off for like 6 months.
Right. I'll take the fight gladly. I'm in shape. Too in shape.
Yeah. Because that's what these guys are doing, man. I recently got off. I was on a cycle not too long ago. I got off equipoise and testosterone like maybe 8 months ago, and I still feel the effects of it in the gym. I mean,
wow.
And the fact that these guys don't have, they only. Oh yeah, of course. And especially when I was in my 20s, I would still feel the effects of something maybe like a year and a half afterwards. I'd still have the same endurance, on the treadmill, on the bench, doing the same. I mean, you still feel it, So these guys, I mean, depending on what the half-life is, so I'm sure that's what, I don't know. That's probably the protocol these guys take. But all right, man. I see there's not that much time left, but I'll call next week.
Sounds good, man. Take it easy. Enjoy the fights.
Later.
All right, later. Yeah, so real quick, I was talking about Fox, Pacquiao-Thurman Fox pay-per-view, July 20th. So it's like 10 days after the All-Star game for the MLB. So that's like a perfect time to promote that fight. I think that's pretty smart, and it does sound like Spencer Porter is going to be off pay-per-view, whether it's going to be on Showtime. I'm assuming it'll be on Showtime. Mikey Garcia vacated his WBC belt. So it sounds like Luke Campbell and somebody. They want to get Devin Haney because Devin Haney just signed with DAZN. That deal, actually, we were talking about that deal last week. It got finalized. And by the way, Gennady Golovkin parted ways with Abel Sanchez. Signs a $100 million deal and says, how about you get this amount of money? Not 10%. Not the going rate. And Abel said, nah, dude, I want the going rate. Sorry, I put you all the way here, and they're moving on, which is a little surprising there. But Luke Campbell might be going against a higher ranked guy than Devin Haney. I remember Eddie Hearn addressed this, and he said that he thinks that the guy is actually going to be, because he's Muslim, so it's coming up, he's going to have to do Ramadan. So this guy, I don't know. I actually heard reports that this guy may not want to get skipped and do what he's got to do. So we'll see how that pans out. I'm going to go out to Portland 503 and let him get his the last chunk of the show. Let him shut it down. What's up, Portland 503? What's going on, man? Big weekends for the Mexicanos this weekend, man. And last weekend with the Strata. Portland, you're not there. Huh. Not sure. I'm not sure what happened. Let me try it again real quick. Portland, you there, man? You're on mute? Maybe he hasn't gotten to the special quiet spot at work. That could be. I'll give him a little bit more time. Anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, you know what? Just to burn a little time to see if Portland wants to give his prediction. I mean, we know his prediction, but we want to, we want him to get a segment in here. You still got some time here, like 6 minutes or something like that. But okay, Portland's ready. Perfect. All right, I'm coming to you right now, Portland. Nice.
Hey, yo, what up, Chris? Yo, what's up, brother? How's everything, bro?
Everything's great, man. Coming off a great win with the Strata, looking sharp, looking like the young Juan Manuel Marquez out there. And with Canelo coming up, man, I'm happy, man. How about you?
I'm happy too, bro. I mean, yeah, hell yeah. I mean, dude, not only that for the Mexicans, but for, I mean, look at Andy Ruiz. I mean, look what he scored. You know what I mean? He scored the lottery ticket there. You know what I mean? The fucking Jarrell Miller. You know, he dropped the lottery ticket, and you know, Andy Ruiz picked it up. So you know that. I mean, I'm happy for him just because you know, he got screwed in that the Joseph Parker fight. So this is kind of, you know, this is pretty sweet on, you know what I mean? So it's I mean, he's gonna bring some fans in, dude. You know what I mean? Like and then it's funny too that what's his name, Ortiz dropped. You know, he declined the offer for whatever reason, and you know, anybody could speculate anything, but I hope. I mean, it's like, dude, that money, if it's really that because he wanted $10 million, like that's pretty crazy. You know what I mean? And because $5 million, like for him, like a guy that's to like, you know, because that comes from humble beginnings, like he's from Cuba, like, you know, he's from there, so he knows the struggle. And for him to like drop that kind of money, you know, to leave it on the table, it seems kind of fishy to me. You know what I mean? Too, in all honesty, you know what I mean? Like a man that humble should be humble to, you know, to get that pie. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know what I mean? So, but
yeah, because I'm not seeing him paying $5 million on pay-per-view. I mean, maybe on the back end he can get to $5 million, maybe fighting Wilder, but I doubt they're going to guarantee him $5 million.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like the zone, man, for some dude, they have endless pockets right now, man. And the signing of Devin Haney, you know, that's pretty awesome on his part. Like, you know, I wanted to say real quick, he finally graduated from Showbox, and you know, he's in the title talks. So you know, good for that young kid. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean? So you know, good for him, and then you know, him and his team. That's pretty dope. You know, but what I'm saying is DAZN, you know, that's crazy. They got endless money. Like that's so nuts. Like I don't know, it's crazy. But yeah, man, it's just nuts. But also, but yeah, for Andrew Ruiz, I'm happy for him. He got the you know, he got the shot, man. So you can't hate on that. But also, let me talk about that Easter Robert Jr. crap fight that happened over the weekend.
Don't waste time talking about that too much.
Hold on.
But
hold on. I just wanted to say real quick. What? How long ago, guys?
Like 3 minutes.
All right, but no, real quick. I just want to say about that fight is that it was like that's as close as like a fencing. In a boxing fight has ever happened. Like it was like a fencing fight, you know,
definitely.
Like you know I'm talking about just sticking, you know what I mean, just sticking to that. Yeah. Yeah, and but yeah, man, it was a crap fight, and whatever though, you know what I mean. So about billions, but yeah, man, let's get into it. We got, you know, Canelo, the Mayo weekend. You know, we're all excited for this shit. And I'm actually, too, I got my tickets for the movie theater because, you know, I still got the, you know, the old setup. And, yeah. So this is my first, you know, going to a movie theater for a fight. I usually don't like casual fan crowds when there's a pretty big fight like this. I usually like to buy them and, you know, have, you know, family or friends over and, you know, have a barbecue and, you know, just, you know, have a pretty good spread out, you know what I mean? Just have a good time, a good weekend or a good Saturday, you know. And so it's kind of like, you know, I'm going to a movie theater. It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird, but whatever, you know, I'll take it. And but yeah, and kind of weird too. Like I'm trying to like figure out how, like, so it's like you've been to at the bars before, right? Like, is it like I mean to the theaters? Is it like a bar vibe or is it way different?
Yeah. No, yeah, it's kind of like a bar vibe.
Okay. Because I'm just curious, like I was like a movie theater. I mean, the one that they're playing, it actually does serve beer, which is pretty cool. So, but I'll probably be pre-gaming before that. You know what I mean? And
right.
But definitely something loud in the air. You know what I mean? For Canelo and for Mexico that night. You know what I mean? Because you know we got to stay representing. So, but yeah, man. But as far as the fight, I gotta say it's kind of a crap undercard. So I believe
you gotta hurry up,
Gano
man. You gotta hurry up. You don't have much
right,
time.
but,
This is what the cutoff mode is. We don't know when it happens.
All right. Canelo, I got Canelo by unanimous decision. I think it's going to be hard for him to take out Jacobs, but the Miracle Man is this fight is stacked against him. Even Mauricio Suleiman wearing Canelo gear, and you know what I mean, the sanctioning body. So you know what I mean. So it is stacked against you know what I mean, and even the judges out there, you know what I mean, that they've already written scorecards like you said, so it's stacked against him. He needs a knockout, and Viva Mexico, Viva Ropa Dope, Viva Oregon.